Alright, let's see. Is it working? There we go. Yep, we should be live now. Which
Oh,
means...
sweet.
Yep. But obviously, they're going to be hearing Forza sound effects in the
No, they
background.
won't. No,
Yes.
they won't.
Yes, they will be. I've been hearing it this whole time since you've been playing it.
Well, they won't hear anything. I'm not doing anything.
And I'm sure they can hear you gulping as well.
That's good. Your mom hears it all the time.
Uh-huh.
I just hovered over someone in your server and said they were playing Forza Motorsport 2, and I'm like, why would you play the second game?
Yep.
Don't get me wrong, 2 is a good game, but I like 6 a lot more. Or 3, or 4, or 5, or 8. Make sure to add everybody in like all of the servers.
Okay. You just cut out majorly.
I said make sure to add everybody in like all of the servers.
Yeah. I did it in this server. At the very least.
Did you add everybody in the clout chamber?
I'm not in the cloud chamber.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, you forgot. Of course you did.
Mm.
Yeah, even someone said they heard you gulping.
Yeah, that was intentional. That was intentional.
Okay. Forza Motorsports 4 is the best in my opinion, says Jared. Okay.
I liked 6 a lot. I had a lot of fun on 6. Gotta stretch. Big stretch. Big stretch.
Now I just have to find the video that we're supposed to be watching.
I think I added you in chat when someone posted it.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a...
You're trying to find it?
Yeah, I'm actively trying to find it right now.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Nope. Let's see. Okay. Apparently, my OBS disconnected.
Uh-oh, Spadudios. Are we there?
We should be. It says I'm still going.
Yeah, I can hear the delayed thing. So apparently, even though it's disconnected, it's still working. Don't question it.
Okay.
No, Boundless is like inherently a flawed tier. It's stupid. It's dumb, and stop bringing it up. Nate said to check DM.
Check DMs. Thank you, Nate.
Even VSPW admits the balance is a flawed tier since a while back. They changed it to just mean this is not invincible. The tier just goes on forever. I mean, tiers can go on forever. That's fine. The issue is that on VSB it is just omnipotence. Someone else said. I'm sure I'll get a chance to ask, but what do you guys think of Dark Tower, both in writing and scaling? And writing is pretty bad, and scaling is pretty weak.
All right. Hashi, I'm gonna let you know we're gonna have to put this video on 1.5 times speed already, because this is over 30 minutes long.
Oh, brother.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna do a 3-strike system. They say something like egregiously bad, they get 3 chances.
Yep. Also, let's see. Do I still have? I'm gonna see if I just have the bingo card on hand.
Yep. Kingu, that isn't the debunk you think it is. At least for most people, because there's like 3 versions of that tier. There's like rules as written, rules as interpreted, and rules as like intended, and all 3 are different.
Yep. Okay. All right. I got the bingo card pulled up, and I'm also going to move this over to here. And I'm going to.
What about Extraverse? Amazing tier. Godsend. One of the best tiers to ever be written.
Definitely no bias in that one.
Absolutely 0 bias there.
Yep. Just gonna make this a bit bigger. All right. So I have the bingo card up. Alrighty, chat. It is time we watch this video. You ready, Hashi?
Yep. Unfortunately.
And there is definitely a bingo going on. Though
Yeah.
I have it on hand.
You posted it in chat, yeah.
Yeah. And I believe I posted in our chat.
Yeah.
Just doing a few more adjustments on my end.
Ooh, my stomach hurt.
All right. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
I saw the first frame and I already know Death of the Author is going to be discussed here. Oh, it will probably
100%.
It happens with every single video.
It's like their favorite argument.
All right.
I'm in top messages. I want to be in all messages. There we go.
Mm-hmm. All right. Ready? And I'm going to put this on 1.5 times speed so we can get through this as quick as possible, since we're going to be pausing a lot. That's just going to happen. Also, no hate to this guy, or whoever he is. This is
I
purely...
disagree. All the hate. All the hate. All of it.
But yeah. Ready? 3, 2, 1, and... Wait, let's try that again.
There we go.
Sure, I'm gonna...
Alright, pause already. Pause already. Notice how he's already interjecting his own bias into this example, right? He's already presupposing that, like, oh, the English teacher, like, you're gonna hate her, right? You never learned anything in English class, right? He's already painting it. Oh, Nate's saying that they don't have any audio.
Oh, great. More audio issues, of course. Of course.
At least it's good it's this fast, yeah. Sorry.
So wait, is there actually... Okay, it just doesn't...
Pause.
Yeah, I know I'm trying to test why it's not picking up the audio.
Can hear your audio, not the video. We know. We know. Man,
Right.
Demetrius Johnson was dealing with some audio issues today, and you know what he said?
Mm-hmm.
He said, turn up your volume, like you're not watching porn.
Yeah.
Great. We can't hear the video. So, I mean, do you want to hear the video?
Eh.
Like, all right, let's chat. Let's be real here for all of like 5 minutes, all right? Do you actually want to hear the video? I feel like you can just imagine what they're saying, right? Like, come on, let's be real here, right?
I'm trying to see. Oh wait, hold on. I think I remember how to do this.
Otterfly, yeah, but yeah. Do you guys actually want to hear the video? I mean, come on. Yeah. See, people are already saying no. Yeah, see.
It's
Pause.
still not. Still not. It's still not doing it. And by the way, I'm only turning it on to because I'm trying to test to see how it's. Okay. Does it?
Yes, we
It's
want to
still not
hear it.
working.
No, we don't want to hear it. You're right.
Yeah. Just for.
I mean, basically, no, we're here for the scenario anyways. See, people are agreeing with me. They don't actually want to hear it. See, I'm cooking. I'm brewing. I was putting that magma cream in. I'm making a fire resistance potion over here.
I'd rather watch otter videos, to be honest. Well, unfortunately, that's not what this stream is about. Why? Why won't you do the thing I want you
Do you have your desktop audio muted in OBS? Like, pull up your OBS window and see if you're getting a...
No, I have it up.
Put up like a test video so you can check and stuff. The stream is going to be boring since we can't even hear the video. I mean, but do you actually want to hear it anyways, Blue Yoshi? Like, do you really want to hear? Because I don't. I don't want to hear it. Last year, are you going to make a Gundam video? Probably not. Great editing and production, very weak content-wise? Yeah, probably. Where would you scale a character that scales above communication? Nowhere. Outer space scales above communication in some regards. Like, it doesn't mean anything.
Do I have to, like... Let's see.
How can it get this broken? You only react to videos on stream? Dog, that's what I'm talking about.
Let's see, does this... No. Okay.
Good. Just set it to the beginning of the video, and so you can, when you test it each time, we don't have to hear like a snippet. Yes, plus at a certain point in the video...
No. Wait, what?
Or pull up like royalty-free jazz in the meantime.
Well, it's picking you up. Maybe because... Hold on.
You guys got an ad for a protein bar? Yeah, the ad money goes right into my pocket.
Nope.
I hear an echo. Oh, apparently they make application audio capture and capture your browser.
Oh,
apparently
it had an echo for a second because I added another desktop audio, and it had you speaking twice. So I know why that happened.
Oh, is there still an echo, guys, in chat?
No, there isn't. There shouldn't be. I'm trying to see why. Oh, she went God mode for a second.
Damn straight. It's gone? Alright, word. Thank you. Alright, press play and see if they can hear it now.
Well, I can see whether or not they hear it. I just don't know why it's not picking up.
No echo? Alright, thank you. Thank you, everybody. I always forget there's a bit of a delay. So
This is actually really frustrating that it's not...
What? It's funny to me. I hear the least subs I've... Oh, I have the least subs I've Surfbone duels. Yeah, I know how to use OBS the best.
I haven't... Like, you gotta think of it this way. I haven't streamed in 3 months, and OBS, I had to do a bunch of stuff right before the stream because it wasn't working.
But Surfbone, whose fault is it that you haven't streamed in 3 months? Oh, wait. It's your fault. Bro, y'all are like spoiling the argument she makes in the video. Like, chill out. Holy shit. Nate, what's the @ for your channel? It's DSP Gaming. Look it up.
Wait, let's see what happens when I do that.
Surfbone, says Nate. You can click on my name and I'll take you to my channel.
Spread around the internet in the form of a shitty meme.
Oh, finally, I figured it out. All right, chat.
It works now?
Yeah, it finally works. Because
In the mid-2000s via Tumblr. The thought experiment of the meme goes...
okay, cool.
So they can hear it?
Yep, they should be able to. It's
All right, chat,
picking
get
up.
a confirmation. Did you hear it there for like a brief, 10 seconds? Yes, they heard it. All right, let's go.
All right.
as such. You are in an English class. Your English teacher, being the evil, nasty, cruel monster she is for trying to teach you anything, poses that within the second scene of the novel the class is reading, that the curtains could be blue to reflect the character's mood as a symbolic device. Or perhaps they're meant to inform us of some element of the character, like how he's a gender conformist who likes blue since he's a boy. Maybe the curtains are blue as a narrative parallel to the white sheets his cruel and controlling mother had at the beginning of the book. In turn, you, the student, think to yourself, the curtains are blue. That's all that sentence meant. The curtains are blue is meant to be used as a deeply anti-intellectual tool to dismiss any form of non-literal...
Pause. All right. So the issue here is this has always been a straw man of this argument, right? So there's like 8 layers you can look into this. I'm being a bit hyperbolic here, but there's actually like a million different layers you can look into it. So the first layer is like, all right, well, what's the evidence that the curtains are blue, right? Oh, we're told they're blue. Well, the person making this video, what's their name?
Zeta.
Zeta, right? She posits the argument that that like, oh well, there could be all these things, right? And it's all about the character, right? But it's like the issue is though, it's in a story. Normally your narrators are reliable, right? Like they're not crazy. They're not, whatever. The whole purpose of having a reliable narrator is that so when you have an unreliable narrator, So like for instance, if you're watching like a show with like a psychic character, right? Like someone who's like psycho, right? When they start saying something and it's wrong, like it's wrong, you can use that to compare and contrast. So in this instance, when we're told that the curtains are blue, you can look into it a million different ways, but if there's no evidence and it's from a reliable narrator, the curtains are just blue. Mm-hmm. There isn't and the only other counter argument is if you say like, oh well, the teacher's reading like the teacher's version of the story where it's annotated to spoil all the literacy stuff. So yeah, I think her argument is really bad here. We can keep going.
Analysis of art. It's so obviously dismissive to most elements of art that it's honestly become a pretty easy punching bag for anybody on the internet with even a slight level of literacy.
All right, so
but
surely you'll debunk it.
It's a frustrating mindset to encounter. In the mind of the student, nothing can be symbolic or possibly deeper in meaning.
Nope, pause again. That is a straw man. That is a massive straw man. The student's position could easily be that there's no evidence to suggest a non-literal meaning to the curtains are blue.
Yeah.
That's a massive straw man. And ideally here you'll go on to say oh, well, in the book there actually is evidence. But if I were to grab a random novel off my shelf here, let's do it. What do we got? All right. Here we have, because I actually read books. Here we have Alfarius, Head of the Hydra. Let's open up to a random page here.
To a random page.
Page 75. In the shadows, we pressed forward, hugging the walls and corners, trusting to the chameleonic plates of our armor to shield us from watchful eyes as the city burned around us. The armed forces of Trolla had a preference for high-powered energy weapons that were devastating when they hit, but they also had a tendency to set fires when they miss. Several of my brothers, Ferris, Mortarion, Perturabo, even Russ, would have taken the enemy's strength as a challenge and met it head-on. Several of my brothers are fools. Alright, lads, what's the meaning of that paragraph?
I think... Yeah.
Is it that Alfarius is depressed here? Is it that he's in some different mental state here? No, he's commenting about how in an overwhelming situation where it would be this actual drawn-out fight, several of his brothers would have fought them head-on. And he finds that ridiculous. Instead, he's going to sneak around and do what his legion is known for, being sneaky.
All right.
be literalized.
All right,
there is no joy in further analysis of a story as a work of constructed fiction. To question any of these elements is to be directly offensive to the student.
Strawman.
Power scalers are like a third kid in the room that go, well, he rips off the curtains lightning fast in chapter 4. So the main character, Johnson, scales to lower faster than sound speed, meaning that he must at least scale to building buster level, and that's why I think he can beat start of series Goku.
Pause.
This is like a massive
there's like
straw
8
man.
different,
but like
so,
some people are like that, but not all power scalers are like that.
All right, so I'm gonna address chat here real fast. Can't something be literal and non-literal at the same time? 100%. There can be 2 equally consistent interpretations. When it comes down to that, right? When it's like, well, the curtains are literally blue. There's no evidence against that, and also it could mean depression. That is a fine thing to say. But when we're saying they must mean depression or they must mean this, you have to have evidence for it. You made a positive claim. But as for this video, you can't be a fan of the curtains are blue being all these other things, must be all these other things, and then be against lightning fast possibly being taken literally.
Yeah.
Like that is completely contradicted.
All right.
Also, is no one going to talk about that I literally just read from a book? Does no one care that I did that visual, that audio gag here? Come on. Come on. Get it. I always like that.
If you don't go to the principal's office right now...
Alright, pause again. I'm sorry.
Well, they haven't done it.
No, it flashed on screen. It flashed on screen.
It's just the title.
No, go back.
Keep
go
the
back.
video going.
Go back. No, go back by a few frames. Trust. Go for frames. Go forward. Yeah, alright. Compare and contrast the title and what's on screen right now. What's the difference? There's one word.
There's one word.
5 letters, 1 word. It's not yeet. Media literacy. With those 2 words, they have discredited their whole opinion, unfortunately.
And why do you say that, Hashi?
Because the problem is that when people use media literacy online, and I know I am poisoning the well here a little bit, but I guarantee you I'm going to be vindicated. I haven't seen this video, but I can tell. I can feel it calling in the air. Media literacy typically means you have to have right think or you're in the wrong think and you're bad and you're evil. And given that she's already expressed this opinion that like books are art, which don't get me wrong, I don't disagree, but like she's using art with like a capital A, right?
Yeah.
I can tell that I can tell this is going to be a very spicy opinion that she's going to let like I think I know death of the author is going to come up, but she's going to believe there's like always this like hidden deep meaning that you got to do, and if you don't see it, you're stupid.
You are poisoning the well, but you are right,
Whoa.
says Polio.
Look. Yeah. Well, I do call it a prediction, right? I'm not going to treat her arguments differently, right?
Yeah.
Hello. Okay,
They got the
so
tambourine.
you read the title. You know who's getting dunked on today. Power scaling. If you're unaware, power scaling is the modern internet subcommunity that takes it upon themselves
Pause.
to ask the hard question.
Okay, let's let the thing play out. We haven't.
She's
Let it
like
play out,
making-
Hashi.
Power scaling is not modern. It's been going on for centuries, but continue.
Yeah.
It's like, does Goku beat Superman? And treats it with all the gravitas and
No, he
seriousness
doesn't.
of sports broadcasters debating which underpaid college kid shoots the ball better. Power scaling, as it's
Ooh.
currently known,
That's a good argument.
evolved from battle
She-
boarding. Battle
No, it's not true.
They evolved on battle forums. No.
No, she like invalidated her own argument because she thinks that she agrees that like when you're debating about sports, it is power scaling.
Yeah, like it's
Which
like
I mean,
yeah,
that's
who
a
shoots
very
the ball
mature
better?
position.
Yeah, and it's like if you're agreeing that power scaling is like some subsection where it's about talking about sports, then obviously you're having to therefore forego this argument that it came from forums if it initially started when like sports were initially invented. So
Yeah, like we can go back to people talking about the pound for pound rankings when like Muhammad Ali was boxing, which is far before forums were even a thing.
yeah.
boarding is mostly what it sounds like. On the early internet, when fandoms were still sequestered to their own separate websites and forums, People would start battle boards, where members of the fandom could join in and argue which of their faves would win. This could even be seen as an extension of earlier versus write-in sections from early fandom magazines. All this to say that arguing about fictional characters fighting is an ancient art that goes back to the ye olden times of the late 90s. So you're probably
Not just the late 90s.
wondering,
Yeah, that's
Zeta,
so sad. Yeah.
why are you hating on something that makes people happy? Sure, it's slightly dumb, but why can't you let them have their fun? Well, I've got a few reasons. Firstly, and most importantly,
All right.
I'm petty. No, I'm not going to expand on that.
Well, we're going to be very petty in this video. Believe me.
Yeah. I was about to say the pettiness is going to go both ways, Chief.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I will, but not right now. But more seriously, because the thing I find most fascinating about power scaling is that it reflects a very specific kind of art critique that I find so infuriating and yet rarely discussed. But
It's not an art critique.
No.
It's not an art critique whatsoever. Unless you're actively using like the scaling of the series to form some type of critique of the story itself, it's not an art critique. Like, if people are actively taking, like, things out of the story to, like, make some type of, like, conclusion upon, like, say, like, who beats each other between Goku and Superman, how is that an art critique?
I mean, I think you can critique a story with scaling, right? Like, you can talk about how, like, this doesn't make sense. This character was presented as stronger. And we do that with, like, professional wrestling all the time, right? But I don't think just participating in power scaling is inherently a critique.
Most people who make this sort of video are extremely petty and aggressive for no apparent reason, so I guess it adds up. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, the self-awareness doesn't make it better, though. Like, I can be self-aware that I'm stabbing somebody, it doesn't make it okay. Like,
the blue curtain example I used at the beginning of the video, the student is clearly a mouthpiece for anti-intellectualism as a form of art critique.
Disagree.
It's a really easy way to dismiss.
The issue here is that by saying this, you were taking the stance that intellectualism is baseless. Because in the example presented, there's actually no evidence that the curtains are blue, like for any deeper meaning. There's no like narrative evidence presented. There's no like authorial evidence if you consider that evidence presented. It's presented as a baseline, and you are showing your bias by assuming that the deeper reading must be true. I can pull back up page 75 of that novel if you'd like, and we can talk about where's the deeper meaning there and where's the evidence for it. Except for the difference is if this person did come into call, I would slam them on their head about it.
Yeah.
So let's keep watching.
This art that has already been discussed to death and kind of beaten down. But power scaling is a really unique example of pseudo-intellectualism.
I mean...
Wow! Power scaling
is
a form of pseudo-intellectualism is a crazy statement.
So if we're going with the poisoned well, if we're choosing to drink out of it here for a minute, the fact that you're talking about pseudo-intellectualism and you use media literacy in the same video kind of paints a whole different picture about you, the creator of this video.
Yeah.
I think just in the straw men that you represented here, the power scaler was by far the smartest person so far. He actually gave an informed reading of a work. Meanwhile, the teacher gave a baseless opinion, and so did the student.
The blue guy.
Although the students wouldn't fall to Hitchens' razor like the teachers would.
Arguments and interpretations of art.
Election can be baseless, but your file's reading your comment. We can keep watching.
Artistic work that are made in an attempt to seem more intelligent than a preconceived opponent in an internet debate, rather than make any form of actually insightful critique of the work. Power scaling is like a heady mix of bad argumentation, bad art critique, bad faith argument tactics, and lazy internet content that make it just...
It's all lazy. It's really funny that this is coming from some, like... Look, I don't need to bring up the trans thing, but, like... For somebody who's a part of that society... Look, I'm just saying, look, for someone who is very big on not trying to be misrepresented and being coalesced as, like, not trying to be seen as, like, the bad part of that community, and it's like, oh, well, like, those trans people, they're not like the rest of us. They're the bad form of it, or whatever. Like, considering you don't want to be misrepresented that way, but you want to, like... confound all of power scaling under this one umbrella, saying that it's all pseudo-intellectualism and that every single power scaler argues this way, this already tells me that I'm going into this video knowing that you're immediately arguing in bad faith and you're a hypocrite.
Well, don't you see, Surfbone? They have portrayed us as the soy jack and them as the Chad. So
yeah.
clearly we have lost, right?
Yeah.
Like the fact that you're saying like, oh well, you're all pseudo intellectuals. This is how you look like.
Yeah, like look at this. What y'all look like to me, to be honest. Like,
I mean, for one, that video is a banger. I've actually watched it. But for two, don't you think you could be the pseudo intellectual, thinking you know everything? Meanwhile, the power skillers are having like an actual discussion about a work, becoming experts on a work, you know?
Yeah.
Alright, let's continue watching.
Genuinely fascinating to discuss. If you're a friend with me in real life, I've probably already found an excuse to mouth off to you about this subject at one point or another. Look, I know that there probably are some power scalers watching this video, so let me level with y'all for a second. I know you're probably going to see I have pronouns and get mad and leave the comment before even engaging with any of my arguments.
We have friends who are power scalers who are also like trans. It's
I know, like no one here cares. Like,
yeah, no one cares that you're trans.
Yeah, no one cares.
I'm sorry. Like, you're not any special. Like, I can tell you, like, we've been friends with Parrot for God knows how long, and he's been transferred for that many years. He has a whole channel formed around power scaling, but you're the special one because you're like having to point out your like pronouns in this video.
This is like
this is really funny because she's already framing this like power scalers are inherently bigoted, because she's like, oh, you're probably already caring about my pronouns the moment we got into this video. And it's like, we haven't talked about that at all in regards to your argument, besides the fact that you are clearly a hypocrite by labeling all power scalers as pseudo-intellectuals, essentially.
What I was gonna say is that they're already like painting this picture, but also it's just like you're getting all this stuff out of the way, and it's kind of like the Barbara Streisand effect. The more you talk about all these things you expect people to harp on, they will. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know about anybody else in the chat here, but I don't look at your bio or whatever when I'm watching a video. I just watch it.
Yeah.
Like if I was like genuinely watching this video, I wouldn't have noticed. They would have just actually, I think they did broadcast at the beginning that they had pronouns. I think I remember that like split screen flashbang. But like when you put it in the video, it shouldn't be, but it ends up becoming a target for a lot of people. You just told them, you know. Like, not everybody has this ear and knows that you're doing voice training or whatever. Not everybody's that sensitive.
Low-key, a little excited to see how many power scalers will misgender be. Why do you care?
I think you want them to. Like, I know that sounds awful, but like I think you want to be able to play a victim here a little bit.
Yeah,
that's why you're bringing this up. Like
what's probably going to happen
say, but
is you're not going to watch this stream. Someone who's a friend of yours is going to watch this stream. Notice the sections where we're going to talk about this whole, like, picture here, and they're like, look, they were bringing up your pronouns, and then you're going to make a post saying that we were misgendering you and that you were right all along, and that you're not actually going to have any sort of, like, rebuttal to anything that we say. Because you're going to make this whole thing about being transphobic or being bigoted.
Yeah, like, I'd rather, like, address arguments than deal with, like, dumb identity politics. So let's continue.
Arguments. But if you're still here, I want to say that the arguments I make here are much more for a culture that I think is exploiting you and taking the fun away from your hobby, rather than directed at you. So even if you disagree on the face of what I'm saying, I'm asking you to just please hear me out. So please, sit down and let me talk.
I mean, it's hard to hear you out when your first thing that you say about power scalers is that it is all pseudo-intellectualism.
Yeah, it's all pseudo-intellectuals. They're all apparently pieces of shit, and they're also all exploiting you. But this person isn't. Yeah. No. This person, no, they're not exploiting you. Like, huh? Also, they said like something about the enjoyment, but it's like, I don't know. I get a lot of enjoyment out of doing my blog. Like, it's really fun. Like obviously submitting it isn't that fun, right?
I get a lot of fun
Editing, but-
out of making streams about power scaling. I get a lot of enjoyment out of making videos about power scaling. Like, that's my whole channel, is to be a hub so that people can better have a means of, power scaling it themselves without having to base their opinions off of a YouTuber the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, I take a lot of fun out of this, but what you're essentially proposing with this whole video, especially considering what we've heard in the past 5 minutes, is that you think that power scaling should just be dumped altogether since it's pseudo-intellectualism.
Yeah, let's continue. I want to see how they like
About
reconcile
power
it.
scaling
With,
for whatever inappropriately long length of time this video ends up at.
quit shilling.
I'm starting.
Quit shilling. Quit shilling!
Part 1. You're really bad at scaling power.
Oh man.
Oh, all
so
right.
that is really funny that we're basically, like, at the very start, you're really bad at scaling power. So I guess that pretty much marks off the I used to be a power scaler until part of our bingo.
By the way, something almost
Actually
came up
no.
there when I was making
It's
that noise.
a proclaims to be an expert, but then proceeds to be an idiot. Let's see what they say. Let's say what they say.
All right, yeah.
The core beating heart of any power scaling discussion is what the name suggests: scaling a character's power. Taking a thing a character has done, also known as feats, and using that to calculate where their baseline is. If character A punches a hole in a brick wall on screen, that's a feat that proves his attack potency is brick wall level. Or if character B is faster than a car, that places them at car speed. Seems fairly simple on its face, right? Like, yeah, the first place you would want to start is which character can hit harder if you're going to argue with your friend on which one wins. So I gotta ask, why are power scalers so bad at it? I have a game for any non-power scalers in my audience, which is hopefully a lot of you, honestly. See, there's this wiki called Battle Wiki. It's become my favorite website to visit if I need a laugh. It's a place where power scalers come together to decide how strong a character is before launching into bigger debates on their forums, where a winner is decided, tying very strongly back to how things work in the battle board days. Also, if you decide to go there, don't give fandom any money for making every fan wiki shitty and terrible. Go up to the URL and put anti before fandom, and watch the website become usable without any of the dogshit ads. Thank me later. My game for you is to choose literally any
Pause
character
again,
in
real
your
fast.
head.
I just want to point something out. Can you scroll? When was this video uploaded again? Can you scroll down a little bit?
It
I want to say
was
something. I want to.
13 days ago.
All right. Yeah. So you obviously don't actually go to VSB, or you know the forums are on a completely different site that aren't even fandom.
Yeah.
You grab those for a screenshot and you're trying to pretend like you know what you're talking about. And if I had to hazard a guess, your ventures to VSB were, I can't believe you had Ty from Digimon on screen for a second. That might have been a clip, but if you are a Digimon fan, you're like, wait, they have Omegamon at high 1B? How can that be? Right? Like that's going to be like your extent of being on VSB. So let's continue.
Yeah. Also, to kind of answer the why are they so bad at it question, you're going to find that most communities you join in, I mean, along with the vast majority of the world altogether, are going to approach something very bare, like very surface level, and they're not going to
No, don't give them credit. Don't give them credit. Never give them credit.
I'm just saying this should be expected in
No.
any fandom ever.
No, as far as I'm concerned, every power scaler who's ever touched the medium right now is a godsend. They're literally Jesus Christ. I'm not giving them shit. Let's continue.
Head. Try to assign how strong you genuinely think they are. Look them up.
Alright.
And see how insane this website is. Waddle Dee? Yeah, of course. He's a multiverse buster, don't you know? Dante? Yeah, don't worry,
What's
he's
wrong with
faster
that?
than light. Sora? Yeah, his
What's wrong
speed
with
is infinite. Like, literally every character
wrong
on the
with
site
that?
has a ranking that feels
Wait, go back a few
bizarre.
frames. What they say about infinite? That's a bingo. That's a bingo thing, depending what they add.
Is infinite? Like, literally every character on
Oh,
the
yep,
site has a
they
ranking.
don't. Finite speeds don't exist. Above finite speeds don't exist.
Yeah.
Putting it on there.
That's
Where's
another
it at?
one.
Where
All
is
right.
it at?
It's like right next to the free space.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so typically we're already at massive strongman regarding all power scalers do. Greater than infant speed is dumb.
Power scaling is cringe. Yep, free space. It's like an L right now, or like a sideways L.
Yeah, we haven't. They need to bring up gag characters in order for it to be a bingo.
Do we count Goku versus Superman as an unfair matchup? I think that's like rules as written it would be, but rules as like intended when we said unfair matchup, it's like the one above all versus like yeah.
But yeah, like I think the biggest problem you're gonna have, the person who made this video, is that just noting these examples isn't going to prove your point unless you actively tell us why that's a bad thing or why these are bad arguments in itself, not just make an incredulity fallacy or an appeal to incredulity by saying, look how absurd this is, bro. Like, they have their speed at infinite. Oh my god. Waddle Dee is multiversal? Oh my gosh, look at these dumb people on this website. God damn. It's like power scaling must suck if these people are scaling these characters this strong.
Let's play a game real fast. If we go back and remember what her arguments were against like the curtains just being blue because they're blue, what's the difference between that and the appeal to absurdity she's making about power scaling here? Nothing. She is the equivalent right now of just saying the curtains are blue because they're blue. The stance that she's against.
Yeah.
So she's a hypocrite. Let's continue.
That feels bizarre and serves to counteract the stories they're in. Like, you're gonna look at me in the face and say Monkey D. Luffy is faster than the speed of light? Then why does...
Wait, let's... Okay.
He shows it on page. He's like one of the most blatant FTL characters.
Let's hear what she says again.
On the site as a ranking that feels bizarre and serves to counteract the stories they're in. Like, you're gonna look at me in the face and say Monkey D. Luffy is faster than the speed of...
It serves to counteract the story that Luffy is faster than light? What about what about the part where he actually is able to dodge lasers, the same ones that are literally compared to Kizaru's lasers, you know, the light speed guy?
She's about to say, no, let's keep watching. People are telling us to keep watching.
Then why does he need a boat? Couldn't he just jump to the end of the Grand Line?
She doesn't know about travel speed and combat speed.
Oh my gosh.
Don't we have that? Where is it? Tearing's made up concept, fiction's too inconsistent, used to be a power we all know doesn't...
I don't think we have that there.
Do we really not have travel? Really? Huh.
Yeah.
Alright. Wild. Yeah, we probably should. But no, Alex Pereira is not as fast as Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt is not as fast as Alex Pereira, but they're both fast in different ways.
By the way, Oscar, I'm saying hello to you. Thanks for watching my videos. Anyway, let's see what they say.
To think for a second on what faster than light means. You mean to imply to me, Monkey D. Luffy can move at 186,000 miles a second.
Yes.
Not a minute, a second. Over 7 times the planet's circumference. Every second. And the main piece of evidence people most often cite is that he fought a guy who could turn into light. But my counterpoint is that happens in the same arc where he struggles to get off an island in 5 minutes. And for
travel
some
speed
reason,
isn't combat speed.
Also,
that is not the main. That is not the main argument. You don't actually understand the argument, which is very clear.
Yeah.
Kingu just made a fire-ass point. Why would Luffy just light speed run around the planet? He would hate that. He would want to go to every island, check it out, see what's going on. You know?
Yeah. Man, he just literally dodged, like, light right there on... And it's like, no! Don't you... It's like, but if you're light speed, that must mean you can go to the other side of the planet!
It must mean, right?
Surely. And it's like, oh yes, because clearly, like, Luffy is just going to be jumping from island to island just to prove to you so they can meet your standard for light speed.
Yep. Let's keep watching.
Crazy, I doubt this island is the size of 7 planet Earths. Why is Devil May Cry 5 Nero listed as faster than light when he starts the game in a fucking van? Why would he need a van if he's so
travel
fast
speed
he can make 7?
Speed.
Yeah, like if someone in real life was actually able to replicate the like punching at a speed to where they break the sound barrier, are you just going to then say, but how did they not just run fast enough to break the sound barrier? How did they do that just by throwing their fists out? It's just like,
oh shit.
Are you gonna
Pause
be
again.
that type of person?
Do you think a Rattata could solo JJK or My Hero? 100%.
Yes.
Metroid. Thank you for the
Yes.
$2.
Man, you know, that might be a funny video. That might be a funny video to do, to be like, what if like we had like the most powerful Rattata in Pokemon? Could they solo Shonen? That would be a funny video to make. If you just endeavor it as well.
Yeah, let's keep watching.
And trips around the planet in 1 second. Also, the entire plot of this game starts off because Nero gets thrown off a tower and can't get back up and has to figure out another way around. If he was faster than light, why didn't he just jump to the top? Also, not to bring it here, but
Also, jumping and running are two very different like forms of actions that require different like types of like exerting, right?
Yeah.
Like, just because you can run a certain speed doesn't mean you can therefore jump super incredibly far or super incredibly high. Those are two different like muscle fibers that you have to train your body to be able to replicate those types of movements. Like if you're going to get better at jumping, you have to do a lot of jumping. It's not like everybody who can like say run at the speed of sound all of a sudden could do Hulk jumps to like
100%.
to like from one city to the other. That's not how that
works. Is jumping even a speed feat? It could be, but you'd have to show like that your jumps are that relevant, right? Because this is just like a really silly argument. Like it's ridiculous.
If anything, like that's like a propulsion like speed because you're having to charge up your feet and push off the ground, and then you're going at a certain speed. It's not like you run at that same speed. Obviously.
Yeah, 100%.
Like you can obviously. Like, somebody can even run faster than how you jump off the ground. Because eventually you'll start slowing down. Jumping is an altitude.
Usain Bolt is massively hypersonic, by the way. Alright, let's continue watching.
Played the fucking
Has this person never done the catching the ruler thing?
Probably not.
No.
Game, and I physically felt how fast Nero is, and trust me, he's not blasting off at light speed.
And we're using game mechanics to limit characters.
Not just game mechanics, but like cinematic speed. Like, come on.
Yeah, this is just like when we were talking to people about the Sentry in the MCU against Iron Man in Endgame, and people were telling me that because of how Sentry looks like he physically moves faster than what most characters in the MCU do, that should automatically mean that he's faster than Iron Man. It's like, but they visually look fast, though. I don't think I've ever seen everybody move that fast.
Yeah, even in real-life combat sports athletes will tell you that watching footage is way different from seeing it in person. Like, it's a much different experience. Let's continue watching.
And then you get truly nutso shit, like Makoto Naegi from Danganronpa being listed as a building buster? What? The entire plot of every story he's in is how he keeps getting trapped in buildings. Why wouldn't he just bust out of them if he had the striking power of C4?
Dude,
doesn't
you literally
your names.
Like we literally she literally like name dropped attack potency like nearly 3 minutes ago, but all of a sudden being told like someone's AP is building level is somehow like it's like, oh, why can't they just bust out of the building if their punch is that powerful? Because that's not how AP works. Like just because you have a super strong punch doesn't mean, and you can. What's gonna happen is you're gonna punch through the wall and not destroy the entire wall.
I guess we have to put AP. AP doesn't equal DC. Don't we have that as a thing?
We have AP versus DC.
AP versus DC. Yeah, flat. Yeah, let's check that off. Let's continue watching. Oh, $2 from Slow Set.
Yep.
Yeah, Pokemon barely FTL because it's turn-based.
Facts.
Yep. They didn't even play the game. Not surprising.
Why wouldn't he just bust out of them if he had the striking power of C4? Also, the game makes a clear point of Makoto being a normal high school student. It's his core character struggle. It's the monologue that starts the game.
Appeal to
he
reality.
is a normal child. And that gets tossed out the window if you believe his bare hands are heat-seeking Barracuda missiles in disguise. And like the evidence is, it's comparable to what other people did that he's been in tussles with. And like, just because I get in a tussle with Mike Tyson doesn't make me equal to Mike Tyson.
But hold on. You need to actually attack the argument that they're making, where they're actually like saying, well, this character fought this character and they did well enough against them to prove that they have attack potency relative to them. You had to actually attack that argument instead of making a straw man about you getting into a tussle with Mike Tyson.
To be fair as well, when it comes to boxing and combat sports, it's not always the strongest puncher who wins either. It usually isn't, actually. Mm-hmm. Alexander Usyk currently is the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, and he is by far not the hardest puncher. He's just the most technical boxer we've ever seen.
Someone said debunking power scaling by power scaling should be on the bingo card. Facts. It should be. It honestly should be.
Let's continue watching.
And all these interpretations are built on such a loose or weird reading of the material. My favorite example is when people say Naruto is faster than light. The claim comes from Naruto's fight with Madara, where Madara used a technique called...
It's not just the fight with Madara. People who are, like, who read things at very surface level come to that conclusion.
Let him go.
Stage Art Storm Elise Lightning Fang. Say that 5 times fast. Which is stated in a data book to cut through targets faster than the speed of light. Now,
I knew that was
two
coming.
Things. First off, if a car is coming at 100 miles an hour in a straight line, and I jump out of the way, does that mean I need to enter the woman's 100-meter dash because I'm superhuman? Or does it mean I saw it coming and reacted?
Yeah, that is also a straw man. The light speed arguments don't come from the light fang. They come
from
other
things. They don't come from the light fang. And two, even if you do calc it as Naruto seeing it coming, it's still like 70% the speed of light. And that's not factoring in that Naruto's actually dodging Madara's neck swing, not the actual light. Mm-hmm. So you're just full of shit, like, the whole way down. And you said that it's like a strange reading, but that can easily be leveled at your, the curtains are blue, because it's like gender conformity reading. That's also a very strange and baseless reading, right? So far, like, you've only been vindicating power scaling as more valid than your artsy way of reading things.
Yeah. Someone said earlier, like, kind of more proof that she doesn't even, like, go through the stuff that she talks about by saying, like, it's already against the rules to break out of the games in Danganronpa. If you break out, the rules are that you die. So it's like, why would the students ever risk that if they want to escape? So it's just like, that doesn't really defeat the argument. If you're like, well, they could just blow up the building, and it's like, but the rules are that you can't escape because you'll die as a result. So why would they ever attempt it?
Paulo, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your last name.
Yeah, Paulo.
She doesn't know is this an aim dodge? Is literally the first thing power scalers ask. Yeah, because every single anti-power scaler video is them power scaling poorly and saying, you guys just never thought of it. Like, it's why there's, like, massive Bibles of people being like, oh, but don't they know it's all hyperbolic? And it's like, oh, yeah, I'm sure no one ever thought of that. Mm-hmm. You know? Alright, let's continue watching.
And secondly, Madara yells the name of the attack before he fucking does it.
All the best snipers announce their presence in advance.
Fucking hell, I could have reacted to the thing.
I don't think he actually yells it in the manga. I think that's just
also, it's funny that she's claiming that she could have dodged it just because Madara, like, talks about it beforehand. If it's moving at the speed of light, you're not dodging it. You're not dodging anything. Even if you do know that the attack is coming, you don't know what the attack is. It's like saying, oh, like, if someone's like, oh, I'm going to fire a bullet at you, that doesn't mean you now are you're going to be able to dodge it just because someone says, I'm going to shoot you. You can run away, but that doesn't, like, mean that they're not going to aim properly. You can dodge the best way you could, but unless you're able to react in some way relative to this bullet's speed, you're not going to just matrix dodge out of the way. If you're, like, peak human at best. That's not how that works. I'm poor at powerscaling, and that's okay. Proceeds to thrift shop for candy bars based on calories per weight right after.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm getting bored here. I've been reading the book that's next to me because their arguments are that bad.
Yeah.
But the frustrating
I'm on
part
page
is that these
24.
interpretations are born out of such a weird way of arguing. If A can hit B, that must mean that they are always comparable in speed.
Straw man.
No question.
It's also a straw man, and it's
Yep,
another square.
ABC scaling, ABC.
It's another square. ABC scaling / ABC. ABC doesn't always apply.
Yep.
Questions asked. When no, that's not how reality works. There are a lot of nuanced reasons things can happen in reality. And
This
that
is what
ambiguity
aboutism,
and
too.
exaggerated space
Pause
is
again.
where stories
Not JJK. No.
No, JJK's power system is dog shit. Like, you
This is
cannot
coming-
sit here and...
Yeah, this is coming from people like two guys who read through it twice. Arguably 3 times. It's actually really bad. I don't know. Bringing up JJK's power system is like one of the worst examples you agree. It's like, wait, JJK is actually one of my favorite examples of a story using this idea to its advantage by literally making a core tenet of its power system completely random and unpredictable because it requires a level of execution. You spelled execution wrong. That feels completely random. Which
Are they talking about Black Flash? I can't read it on my...
Yeah, it is Black Flash.
Flashes aren't random. That's explained later. They're like the opposite of random. It's that they're so hard to hit, they might as well be.
Yeah. So, no, you didn't actually read... you didn't actually read the story that you're talking about. So, for someone who is critiquing power scaling and saying, oh, here is a shonen that uses one of my favorite tropes of, like, whatever, and then you misrepresent what's actually true in the story. How much you want to bet she is going to bring up something that power scalers already considered, but she'll act like she was blowing everyone's minds? She's probably been doing that the whole time. Like,
Yeah, no, that is basically what she's doing. It's like, oh, but don't you know that, like, if you were to, like, dodge this light thing, you'd have to be so fast? It's like, that's the point.
yeah. Also, if you wanted to bring up random, or, like, something that is just, like, completely unpredictable, or whatever, is, like, in JJK, is making a binding vow with somebody else. Because for some reason, in all of the history of JJK, no one knows what will happen if you break a binding vow that you have with someone else. No one knows. Not even Kenjaku knows what's going to happen. So if you're going to ever cite an example from JJK that's either completely random or unpredictable, binding vows is what you should have cited, not black flashes. And we still got a bit of ways to go in this video.
thrive. When you accept that ambiguity, fights in fiction are a lot more exciting because they may surprise you. Fights aren't-
Also, black flashes have never, like, turned the tides in a fight for like, the last time I've checked. They've never been, like, a peak moment where it's like, oh shit, a black flash? Especially when in the Sukuna fight they were throwing them left and right and they didn't really mean anything.
RPG battles where the side with the higher stats wins. There's so much more that goes into a fight, even in real life. I think a lot of this contradiction also comes from the fact that authors often exaggerate for the sake of narrative catharsis.
No! No!
Alright.
No! Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
I did. Yeah, so this always begs the question. It's like, alright, so authors apparently always exaggerate. Well, where's the proof for that?
Wait, let's
Like,
hear
how do we-
exactly what she says.
A lot of this contradiction also comes from the fact that authors often exaggerate for the sake of narrative catharsis.
They often exaggerate for the sake of narrative catharsis.
But where's the proof for that, though?
Yeah.
Also, this falls under fiction is too inconsistent,
Dang.
which is another one. Yeah. Let's keep watching.
I've been cooking pasta because of how boring this video is, says Bobobo.
Bro, Bobobo, I am on page 37 of this book. I've been reading while we've been watching. It is that boring.
Yuji and Todo versus Mahito was the last time Black Flashes mattered in a fight. I mean, yeah, pretty much.
Sure, it's exciting when Superman beats a bad guy, but what if he punches so hard he rips the space-time continuum? Suddenly, the stakes in drama feel
never
a
read
lot
that
more
comic.
palpable. Even though, visually, nothing has changed, it's only text that informs you of this, but
Dragon Ball actually does this all the time. Like, visually, nothing here communicates any level of intensity higher than anything in, like, the Frieza arc, but the dialogue must continue implying that this is somehow substantially more dramatic than previous material. Maybe because there's a thing called attack potency and destructive capacity, and a thing called ki control, where characters are able to blast each other and hit the environment and not cause the entire thing to erupt. Also, it was literally made a point prior to the arc ever starting that they're using the hardest material in the universe as a base for the tournament to occur. So what do you expect is going to happen when you bring characters who have already demonstrated that they can destroy universes by punching and you throw them into a tournament? Do you expect the entire world of Void to just collapse in on itself? Also, you're, like, actually, like, nitpicking a scene where Goku is actively dodging hits from Jiren and not bringing up the part where when Goku first comes into UI Omen, or the many times where Jiren does it himself, just by merely existing, they shook the world of Void. Like, this is, like, nitpicking at its finest. Like, you're just gonna bring up this scene and to, like, be like, oh, there's nothing that communicates here that this is higher than the Frieza saga. Just to demonstrate your point.
What was I going to say? Yeah. So the thing is that anything above, like, a galaxy level, you can't really show visually.
Yeah.
But let's keep watching.
But it still feels big, it feels grandiose, and it makes it a more exciting story. When Araki says Jolene from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure can punch as fast as a meteor, is the implication supposed to be that she can punch at the speed of sound and blow up buildings? Even though the whole plot of the manga she's in is about being stuck in an underfunded women's prison?
No, it is not. Pause again. No, in fact, there are multiple times in Stone Ocean where it's brought up that Jolene could escape if she really wanted to. In fact, she's presented in the first arc that she could have escaped if she really wanted to. However, she knows that Poochie is up to something, and so she stays in prison to try to figure out what he's up to.
So again,
and then she does it. She does escape effortlessly
at
later on too. Like
another time in the counter where she brings up a story and misrepresents it just for it to fit her argument, and clearly doesn't actually understand the story that she's reading.
Yeah.
That just prose because it's exciting and provides more drama when she punches someone and really communicates how painful it is. Stories are not literal events, and characters aren't ML.
Stories are not literal events? What?
Yeah. So clearly, how this works is if they wait. Why is it that her punching as hard as a meteor? Well, it's just hyperbolic and meaningless. What if it actually represents how oppressed that she feels, that she has to enact her wrath on people like it's the wrath of nature? Why can't that be the reading? Oh wait, because that like artsy fartsy bullshit only applies when you're being condescending. It doesn't apply to anybody else. I forgot.
Yeah.
Be drafts with stats for you to judge. Stories are reflections of complicated situations and events with nuance. Most power rankings are so beyond an author's intended implication because they flatten those situations.
Oh, it's up to the author.
Well, no, they're saying something completely different. Let's re-listen to what they say.
No. They're saying that it's like, oh, it's so beyond the author. Like that is like it's all up to the author thing. She's making an authorial intent argument. Like
author's intended implication because they flatten those situations and artistic depictions of complex scenarios to stats on a character sheet.
Apparently, OBS disconnected again, so I'm pausing real quick.
Yep. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and mark this down as it's up to the author thing.
Yeah.
I knew it was gonna be. I don't know why you were trying to pretend like it wasn't.
No one cares. Nice argument. Unfortunately, Dota.
Yeah. No, I guarantee you that if in any other discussion, she would probably be for death of the author. Like, if it came down to, like, where like the author was, like, agreeing that the curtains are blue because they're blue, she would argue death of the author. But when it comes down to this, she would be for the author 100%. I do not expect any consistency in that regard. Also, Jolene visually punches a meteor, so we know it's literal. Yep.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to... I'm getting, like, the notification that OBS disconnected, but it doesn't show anything on here. Like...
Yeah.
Or even on, like, the tab for the YouTube, like, live studio thing. It says, excellent connection.
So everybody else can still hear us, right, in the chat?
They should
put a 1 in the chat. 1 in the chat if you can hear us. If someone already put a 1, don't bother. But just put a 1 in the chat. There is no 1. Put it yourself. If someone already put 1, don't put it. 1 in the chat.
All right.
1. All right, we're good. Yep, stream's still up. Yeah, all right, let's keep going. Thank you. Y'all are breaking the rules. I said if there's already a 1, don't put it.
It's a way of showing in an exaggerated manner how Phoenix Wright's expertise in the world of law and Heart of Gold overpower the prosecution. Could this be a visual metaphor for how devastating his powers of debate must be for everyone in the courtroom to feel like they're being swept away by staunch defense of his client? Not for the fucking versus Battle Wiki, because stories are literal, there's no room for nuance or narrative symbolism.
Wait, pause again, I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
We saw it in that clip that something broke. It's clearly literal. People fell over.
But but because you think there is some, like, narrative nuance to it. Actually, here's the problem. Like, someone brought it up earlier. Why can't it be both? Why can't it both be an instance where, like, his, like, Phoenix Wright's powers of debate, like, are able to blow people away, and then that ends up manifesting as a literal shockwave that blows people over? Why can't it be both?
I was gonna say, it's like Conqueror's hockey not a thing, because you could just make up some deep narrative reason. Look, according to her right now, if something occurs within the story, if there is a deeper reason for it, that means it cannot be literally true. But she has not ruled out why it cannot be literally true, besides absurdity. Terrible argument.
A smudge of abstraction in art. Everything must be literal. As power over wind, I guess? The guy who was overpowered by a gay dude with a brick is apparently the last airbender because, God forbid, we look at stories as fictional events instead of literal sports matches. Every versus...
Why? What?
What? Like, the issue with that, like, argument is, even if we take it at face value, is that, like, that other guy could just be that strong.
Yeah.
Like,
also, he gets knocked out by a dude who uses a fire hydrant to knock him out. Like,
yeah.
How is that all of a sudden?
A fire hydrant.
How is that an anti-feat for Phoenix Wright? He didn't get a chance to, like, use his ability to literally blow him away with his debate skills. How is this an anti-feat? Like, oh man.
Wiki is.
I was just gonna say, before you, it's like, the thing is, Hashi, I view stories in a much higher sense than you do, because I'm able to realize that a story is just a set of fictional events that occur, and they're not literal things that are happening within the world. So I can just interpret everything as hyperbolic, and nothing happened.
Yeah, I don't even think, like, the character actually saw those curtains. I don't think the curtains exist. I think the curtains are actually a metaphor for something being looked into a bit too often. I think that those curtains actually stand for the character wishing that they could just look into the outside world and not be clouded by obfuscation. Mm-hmm. Like, anybody can do this. It's why it's not impressive, and it's why, like, honestly, why power scaling ends up being more impressive to most people is because it takes significantly more effort and evidence. Mm-hmm. You're actively preaching against evidence, which would be against intellectualism. Let's continue.
Either so painfully literal that there's no room for visual metaphor, or
also false dichotomy.
Yeah, again, you're presenting like it has to be one or the other when it can't just be both. Like, power scaling and
or in the middle,
like, or like narrative analysis can go intertwined, where in order for something to like, say if we're gonna talk about like Goku either just being only planetary or only or like universal, to actively preach that he's only planetary goes against what the narrative has built up to, like, ever since Battle of Gods, and you have to actively ignore what happens in the story to say that he's only planetary just because it fits within your own personal bias of what you see visually and what your personal, like, whatever, like, arbitrary standards that these characters have to meet in order for you to believe that they actually meet that standard of strength.
Yep.
Arguments so abstract or ideas so abstract and just accepts those as the flat default.
Pause, I want to read this. Wait, go back a frame. Use like the one frame tool. It's what is it? It's
it's
speed.
it's
Athletic human, Sora is an athletic teenager. What's wrong with that? They're saying that's like the baseline, right?
Yep.
And then they're saying you could argue he's infinite speed. No one there is word salad. Like it. I get you don't know what that means, but VSB does have like a document that explains how you read profiles.
Yeah. Granted,
let's keep reading.
There are parts of VSB that are just utter word salad, but this is not one of them.
Nope.
You just picked the wrong one. You just picked the one that you obviously can't read yourself, and you're like, oh, this is just word salad. This doesn't mean anything. Like, all you really needed to see was the infinite phi ID structure thing, and be like, oh, so that's where they're getting the infinite stuff.
Yep.
It's like, oh, because he was able to cross this realm that's infinite in size. Oh, man.
Let's keep watching.
For a character. And this is because there is no baseline to understanding how literally you're intended to take any story, because stories are inherently fictional. This is why plot holes...
Wait, so it's another institute. So if there is no baseline, then why are you more correct?
Yeah.
I can't be being literal. Like you literally just invalidated your whole argument right here by saying that there is no baseline. And also, why does it matter what they're meant to be taken as? It should be what's the most consistent. Like, for example...
Why should we care how strong these characters are, Hashi? This story is a purely fictional setting.
Yeah, it all doesn't... Oh, wait, it all doesn't matter. I think
matter.
that's another one. Yeah, where's that one at?
It's,
bottom left corner.
Yeah, bottom left.
Bottom left. Yep, we're getting dangerously close to a bingo.
Yeah.
Polls are the laziest form of media analysis and will get your ass laughed out of any college class.
No, this is the most, like, this video is unironically the most lazy.
Wait, go back. I want to hear completely what she said. Go back a few seconds.
Plot holes are to take any story, because stories are inherently fictional. This is why plot holes are the laziest form of media analysis and will get your ass laughed out of any college class. It's because stories, by being fictional, are inherently filled with contradiction. Those...
Oh,
no?
Man. Oh,
that's another one. Yeah, I think I already put that one down, but no,
if you're having to say that, like, stories inherently just have contradictions in them, then I think you just don't know how to read stories without trying to make a cohesive narrative. Because by you saying that, anyone could come to any conclusion that they want, regardless of whether it actually represents what's being said or done on the page. And because you think that stories inherently have contradictions to them, it doesn't matter whether or not somebody is wrong, because as you say, in your analysis of fictional stories, they inherently have contradictions. No one is wrong, ever.
This is a double side sword too, since this applies to her argument as well. Meaning all those contradictions she has with like Phoenix Wright or Devil May Cry are also just there's contradictions. Fiction has that.
Yeah, like I don't think you actually read your script and actually looked at your own argument to see whether or not it's actually consistent with itself. Which, oh man, is the consistency with anti-powerscalers as a whole. They all argue this way, where they don't even know what they're actually saying, to the point where they start contradicting their own arguments.
Yep.
This video, I'm sorry, like, Zeta, this video really sucks, and it's kind of funny that you called yourself Zendaya the forward thinker when you're
dislike it, dislike it, dislike it, dislike it, dislike. Come on, there we go.
Contradictions are only bad if they break the verisimilitude of a story, because these aren't literal events. These are narratives being told to us to elicit an emotional response and teach us about ourselves and the world. There is never going to be a satisfying answer to how strong a character is, because stories are inherently contradictory. They don't exist to present.
You can say that about narrative analysis arguments as well. This isn't just specifically power scaling. You can just say that about literally any type of analysis ever. You're not special.
Real events or make consistent sense. They exist to elicit emotional responses that are intended by the author. Part 2. Bad faith arguments.
Oh, bad faith arguments. This entire video has been bad faith arguments. Also, you spelled arguments wrong. You didn't rewatch your own video.
For an internet community that values debate, y'all are really fucking bad at it. And
so are you, evidently.
You're terrible at it. Yeah,
because you don't even know your own position.
I can see no better example than Death Battle. Death Battle is an internet series that started in 2010, created by a company I can't seem to remember, and then later acquired by another company I can't seem to remember, before becoming independent in 2024. The series is seen as the peak of versus battle content. The show essentially follows a formula.
No, it's not. If you actively, let's just say for some reason you wanted to enter the power scaling community and start really diving deep into it, you'll find that most people don't really care what Death Battle says, because they are themselves, as they state, surface level content where they are mainly trying to appeal to the layman watching their video, which often results in them having to come to conclusions that are more, what's the word I'm looking for? That the layman is able to easily accept.
Yeah, someone in this chat, I could scroll up and find, someone in our chat asked me 10 minutes ago, I ignored them, I'm sorry, but they're like, oh, how'd you feel about the latest Death Battle? They finally acknowledged dimensional tiering. Everybody knows they suck. Everybody knows they suck. Keep watching.
Yeah. Also, I think she means production-wise, not their conclusion. Probably. In terms of that, yes, they would be the peak in terms of power scaling.
Because
in that sense,
their animations are all right, and they make music, but their research is terrible. Yeah. The way they actually promote it is terrible. There's so much behind-the-scenes drama. Their product is mid at best. It's mediocre.
Well, I'll say this to everybody who's watching. I never watch Death Battle for their analysis, because I know I'm always going to find a plethora of things that are wrong with it. And I decided to, for the sake of, the podcast I used to do with Noodles, we were talking about the recent Goku versus Superman that they did. And I went through the entire 30 minutes that they did, and I had over 2 pages worth of bullet points going over every single point that was wrong with that video. And that was just watching their Goku vs. Superman one, which I honestly think, in terms of all their other ones, isn't terrible, but it wasn't good. And that's just on a video I thought was fine for the most part.
Where a small discussion about both characters is held before going into an animated fight between the two and deciding a winner, and then explaining their reasoning after. The production value of the show is genuinely very impressive, and I'm not going to sit here and act like the show's
she wasn't talking about production value.
Bad. But man, their scripts... Look, I'm starting here because Death Battle literally makes millions of dollars by having a random loser woman on the internet say she doesn't like them.
Also, most of the fights you're putting on are not even Death Battle oriented. They're DBX, which are purely no research. They fight for the sake of shits and giggles.
This is also another pot calling the kettle black, because this script has been god awful so far.
Yeah,
and I have a critique, and I literally can't say it because it's that mean. Mm-hmm. But if I did present it, it would be a very scathing critique. I think, actually, I'm just gonna say it. Fuck it, I don't care anymore. I think the reason you talked about pronouns earlier isn't because you were actually scared of any realistic discrimination against you. but rather because if this video was made by me or Surfbone, it would be called garbage and trash, and we'd get flamed for it.
Yeah.
But you're hoping that because you are a minority, that people will be softer on you, because this video is dog shit. It is bad. And even right there, you saw I had to hesitate before I criticized you in that way, because, matter of factually speaking, if I didn't word it the right way, people would assume that I'm being discriminatory, but I'm not. It's the opposite, even.
Mm-hmm.
This video is bad, and I think it is worse than Death Battle scripts. Death Battle scripts are at least mostly consistent with themselves.
Yeah. Funny enough, yeah, you're calling Death Battle scripts terrible, but this video has been contradictory with its own arguments, so.
I genuinely hope she's in the chat. Is what Forbidden says. Me too. I'd love to actually sit them down and talk. Like what's up? Like, why are you this contradictory?
Why
And
are you
honestly,
this condescending?
Yeah, like your stance at the beginning of the video was, yeah, this thing that doesn't have any evidence must be right, because if it's not, then like intellectualism is bad, right? But it's like, right, then intellectualism is bad. I don't care. Sort by new. No, scroll down in the comments. Click sort by new.
All right.
Click sort by new. Sort by. Oh man.
I have very bad video cuts.
Yeah. Scroll back up.
All right, let's keep watching.
But their episode on Aizen versus Madara and the preceding arguments around it are such a good example of how rampant bad faith arguments are in fandom space. The core heart
Like
of the
what?
fight breaks down to this. Aizen has an ability to cast illusions so good that he tricked Yhwach, a character who was literally omnipotent. Yhwach...
Oh, omnipotence? No.
Oh, that's one.
But wait, how can Yhwach be omnipotent? I thought stories weren't literally objects that could be read. I thought they were to elicit emotions.
Yeah.
Like, what if Yhwach being strong is actually to make Ichigo feel oppressed after the Soul Society and Fullbring and Arrancar arcs?
Yeah.
It's almost like with this framework that you've set up in this video, you can't talk about anything.
Yeah. No, Hashi, stories are just me showing you a banana and being like, look, the banana is yellow. And just telling you that, yeah, that's a story right there. And it's like, oh, but it's a fictional setting. Oh. Yeah, he got beaten twice in the story. It's like, but he's literally omnipotent, Hashi. Literally omnipotent.
Yeah, you lost twice. Let's keep watching.
is Bleach's narrative parallel to Jesus Christ, and his final...
Oh no. Oh no.
But no, I mean, like, second verse same as the first. It's not. He's not literally omnipotent. It's just a narrative designed to elicit emotions. Let's keep watching.
But did you hear that, Hashi? Did you hear what he's
what the
what
Jesus
said?
Christ thing?
Yes. Did you hear what she said?
Oh no, I didn't. Maybe not exactly.
I love it when Jesus absorbed God and tried to take over the world.
Yeah, 100%. That's some Trench Crusade shit right there.
Yeah.
State is reflective of a belief in an all-knowing, all-powerful God, and how those beliefs interlace and interact with fascism in Japanese culture. Aizen is literally so good at illusions that he tricked God. He tricks a character
He tricked God!
To be...
Okay, hold on. What are Shinigami, Zeta? What are Shinigami?
Wait, no, I want to take it another step. So if we can't power scale basic fiction, right, because apparently there's just stories meant to elicit emotions, but you can power scale religion?
Oh yeah,
huh?
you can power scale religion. You can talk about how they're all powerful and they can do basically absolutely everything. Oh, but also, if they are truly omnipotent, that they can apparently be cast under an illusion that is just super good.
Yeah.
They are still susceptible to illusions, Hashi, even if they're super all-powerful. They can't be beaten.
She's also power scaling again. She's literally trying to, like, use, like, narrative bullshit to try to say that, like, Yhwach should be really strong. Let's keep watching.
Omnipotent. And yet, Death Battle and Naruto fans say he couldn't do illusions on Madara. Why is that?
They're right.
Well, because Madara has resistance to illusions because of his Sharingan. And it's never stated anywhere, explicitly, that Yhwach has resistance to illusions. Now,
That
I
is
want
true.
you to run that thought through your
He
head
outright
for a
lost
second.
to him.
Like, really think on it. Let it wash around.
Yeah, we're thinking on it. You haven't really actually given a reason for why that line of reasoning is bad. You're just applying the incredulity fallacy again to try to sympathize with your to try to get some empathy from your audience. Be like, man, isn't that such a bad argument, guys? Really think about what they just said.
Oh wait, we can actually add another one. Their perceived OP character is actually trash.
Yeah. Oh yeah, true. It is.
Yeah.
God.
Stop and really consider it for a second. A guy who could make illusions so good, he tricked someone who is omnipotent. Omnipotent. I'm going to throw the definition on screen again.
Oh, so
Yhwach's not omnipotent.
able to do anything.
Right.
Doesn't the fact that they're able to be put under illusions contradict your definition there, buddy? Huh? It sounds like you didn't actually but Hashi, I thought we weren't meant to take anything literal from a fictional setting.
Yeah, apparently not. No. Let's keep watching.
But Yhwach is literally omnipotent, though. He's literally omnipotent.
He sure was omnipotent when Ichibei rewrote his identity to be a black ant. He sure was omnipotent then.
Yeah.
Keep watching.
So you know what the word omnipotent means. But
You
you can't
don't.
trick a guy with really good eyes.
He cannot. That is
Am
correct.
I being crazy for saying that I feel like we're intentionally being obtuse now? Like,
You
are.
are the one currently being obtuse because you aren't actually providing a counter argument besides Ooga Booga, Yhwach omnipotent, Aizen illusion, omnipotent guy. He should be able to illusion Madara because omnipotent guy.
Alright, let's keep watching.
clearly any philosophy major should be able to tell you how harder it is to trick someone who is omnipotent than a guy with...
Oh my
Pause
god.
again.
So we are giving credence to people who are philosophy majors now. Philosophy majors. This guy's a philosophy goon, Hashi. It's over.
This guy, you got to be careful about that one, Surfbone. But
no. I was referring to him in a general neutral way. By referring to he's a power scaling goon or But anyone with a power scaling major could tell you otherwise.
What
That
about like the
hilarious?
I mean, any philosophy major would tell you that Yhwach isn't literally omnipotent, and they'd probably call you a heretic for suggesting that Yhwach would be like the Christian god.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, you kind of like every time you say something, you just end up sounding more and more stupid. Let's continue watching.
Any philosophy major could tell you I am very smart. I'm 14 and this is deep.
100%, 100%, straight hundreds. Let's keep watching.
Good eyes, but fuck me, I guess. Also, is it a resistance to illusion just an ability to see the truth better? And isn't...
Just to see the truth better.
Yhwach still doesn't have that. He actively lost to Kyokusoi Getsu, and Madara does beat Aizen. Madara slams the fuck out of Aizen.
Also, this is just like you have to actively ignore the type of illusions that Murata's
Madara.
I had a brain for that. Yeah, like that Madara is able to create, where he is able to create an entire infinite world inside of your mind that is basically that looks completely like reality. He's able to create an entire timeline within your mind that looks indistinguishable from reality, and you're able to live your entire lifetime throughout all of time within your mind, and you would have no idea. He does this with literally everyone, and the only reasons certain characters were able to resist it was because they were in Sasuke Susanoo.
Yep.
Even if you had a Sharingan that is able to help you break through illusions, it would not help you against the infinite Tsukiyomi.
Let's keep watching.
Omnipotence, just being able to know the truth of everything? Like, make it make sense to me. I've genuinely looked at this debate for so long, and the math doesn't add up no matter how many times I look at it.
It's because
you think Yhwach... Yeah, it's because you're not actually doing math. You're just asserting Yhwach's omnipotent. That's why you'd get slammed in any actual discussion.
Yeah.
You'd say he's omnipotent, everybody would say omnipotence isn't possible in fiction, and you'd get mad and make another video. You're talking about how power scalers just don't get it.
Yeah. Like, I think that's what's going to happen eventually if we ever had a discussion with you, is that you would bring up the absurdities and other, like, power scalers' arguments and then use that as a means that this is a good reason to dismiss power scaling, when most of the time me and Hashi would try to get down to the bare bones of why you believe some of this stuff, and you'd keep being like, but people say that Aizen gets beaten by Madara, though, and Aizen was able to illusion an omnipotent being, and this wouldn't actually go anywhere. You don't actually care about, like, real critique, because you're not actually providing any.
Wait, someone said something. Omnipotence can exist within a fictional universe. It'd be in comparison to the world. No, because it's not actually omnipotence at that point. It's not the omnipotence anybody cares about. You're saying they're really strong, which doesn't mean anything. Mm-hmm. Like, by saying that, you're just saying, like, oh, well, you can be very strong. It's like, we know people can be very strong, but it doesn't hold any weight. That's why using omnipotence is stupid. Keep watching.
Actually beat God from the Bible, because nowhere in the Bible is it explicitly stated that God has immunity to bullets. Yeah, I know it says he's all-powerful and all...
See, the thing is they're bringing up the Bible here, and if you do power scale the Bible and you don't inject, like, the 200 years of cope that followed it, Yahweh isn't that strong. And that's kind of been, like, the in-joke of the community for, like, a decade, is that Yahweh isn't actually strong. You just assume he is. Let's keep watching.
All-knowing, but it never explicitly says I can't shoot him with a deagle, so therefore I win. And once you notice this kind of...
Also, that's an argument from ignorance.
Shit argumentation
wait, pause again. It's funny they mention that, because God loses to iron chariots in the Bible. like on page, verbatim, loses.
You notice it everywhere. And God, any episode with any comic book character, you can nearly be certain the comic book character is going to win, because comic book characters are written over the course of 50 years by 200 different writers who don't give a flying fuck about being...
Oh no, it's the multiple authors thing again!
No, do we have that on here? We don't. All right.
No. Hashi actively had this conversation with somebody else, like, 3 days ago.
Yeah. I kind of slammed him on his head, too. Like, well, let's say all those Spider-Man books, instead of having, like, the different author's name, were just written by, like, Joe Spider. Are they inherently more consistent? Are they inherently less consistent? Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, nothing changes. It's almost like whose name on the cover doesn't matter. Who would have thought?
Also, it's actively being ignorant to act like, essentially... none of the authors here actually have their works go through editorial processes where things look, where these people look at the story to see whether or not it's something that should be published or whether or not it's consistent with other works. Like, do you not think that other people who want to publish their stories don't oftentimes go to other people to have them read it to see whether or not they like it or they can note any inconsistencies with it? I think, like, to actively make this argument about the multiple authors thing and how, like, oh, because a character has multiple authors, that means that it's more likely for inconsistency. It's just, like, straight up... What's the word I'm looking for?
Dishonest.
It's just straight up... Yeah, it is just dishonest. To act like having more people be a part of the project means it's more likely to become inconsistent. I think that's really, really dumb.
Characters are written over the course of 50 years by 200 different writers who don't give a flying fuck about being consistent with each other.
Also, you're assuming intent there, which is really funny because you made the whole thing earlier about caring about authors' intent. But you're saying, oh, none of these people give a fuck about what they're writing. How do you think they become comic writers in the first place, you dumbass?
Can she prove that in that story from the beginning of the video that the author cared about the curtain color? oh, right, she can't. Yeah, all right. Keep watching.
Because the goal isn't to make a fully realized person, but to make a series of compelling stories that say something about...
Wait. Hear what she says again?
Isn't to make a fully real... different writers who don't give a flying fuck about being consistent with each other. Because the goal isn't to make a fully realized person, but to make a series of compelling stories that say something about the way we live. This also...
You know that, like, they married Spider-Man and they've gave him kids to show different parts of his life to show he is a real person, right?
It's
that's why Spider-Man goes to school. Like, you've never read a comic, and you've most certainly never understood one. This whole video is you asserting that any other reading besides some, like, deeper you're supposed to feel it meaning must be wrong.
It never matters to, like, it never matters for a story to make a fully realized person, but instead to just make a bunch of compelling stories. Like, that, like, are supposed to relate to our real life. Let's exactly get what they say.
The only thing I'm compelled to do right now is to bust out the alcohol.
Because the goal isn't to make a fully realized person, but to make a series of compelling stories that say something about the way we live. This also...
Yeah, but instead to make a series of compelling stories about the way we live. So if you ever wanted to make a really cool story, that, like, say that follows an LGBTQ person, you're not going to make that person a fully realized person by the end of your story. You're not going to try to make them, like, an actual compelling character throughout the entire thing.
No, you just tell a sequence of stories that are apparently disjointed and trash and slop.
Yeah.
Like, I've never gotten this perspective of just pretending that, like if you wanted to make written is slop.
If you wanted to make a compelling story, it's supposed to be a meta commentary on being characterized or misgendered or something. You don't think you're going to want to make your main character a fully realized person that, like, goes through their own development and their own, like, series of events that, like, make them, like, realize certain lessons in life? Like, you don't think the characters are what matter and not the whole setting itself?
Let's keep watching.
Also applies to characterization.
The curtain is the friends we made along the way. God damn it, forbidden.
Like how one writer can be super normal about someone, and then another writer can come in and randomly decide your fave is a pedophile for no fucking reason, because why not? God, I hate comic writers. Any comic character...
You've never read a comic in your life, I can personally say that.
I would have used Hal Jordan being racist, because that one's funny, and Hal Jordan grows as a character from it. Like, he was racist, and they stopped being racist.
You know what? Jon
Stewart.
It's like when the live-action Avatar decided they wanted to take away I'm having a brain fart here.
I didn't watch live action.
Katara's brother, I'm having a brain fart here.
Sokka.
When they decided they wanted to take away Sokka's misogyny, because that's not cool anymore, when the whole point of him being misogynistic at the very start of the story was so that he can end up getting proven wrong a few episodes later by him literally getting destroyed by female warriors and realizing that, like, women can also be really cool too, and then he had to then suck up his own pride to then demonstrate that he was wrong to them and be like, yo, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that you guys could be cool too. I want to learn martial arts from you guys because there's clearly something that you know that I don't. Apparently characters can't have, like, character flaws anymore that they can eventually overcome as the story goes on. They're not allowed to be flawed.
It has ludicrous bullshit feats and claims because writers are constantly trying to one-up each other. No better...
When? When is that ever a thing? Like, please point to a real-life example where comic writers are actively trying to outdo each other in the same, like, series of comics. Like, say, for, like, an Iron Man comic or a Spider-Man comic. When does that ever happen?
Couldn't we also say that, all, like, the artsy-fartsy bullshit is just them trying to one-up each other, too, and therefore it doesn't matter?
Like, I would actively have to put a gun in my mouth if I ever have to deal with this. If I ever have to deal with, like, if I was in a writer's room working on a show and this person was in the room, because what they're telling me is that that's how they view like the writing process, is actively having writers having to outdo each other instead of having to come as a collective to make a cool and compelling story. No, they're always out to get each other. They're trying to one-up each other to make a better story. And they don't care about what the other person did before, because consistency goes in the trash whenever comic writers are at the handle. Oh, man.
For example, than Flash's dumbass picosecond line. That's pseudoscience nonsense coming from a guy.
How is it pseudoscience nonsense?
Alright, wait, so how is it a lie? Like, is she really going to argue that, like, books are written full of lies? And, like, only she can apparently know, like, the true story here?
Yeah.
Like, when comic book writers go back and reread all these past stories, right? And they're like, alright, I'm gonna write a Flash story. Do they get, like, a version of it where, like, all this stuff is blotted out as, like, oh, it's a lie, don't worry about it? No. That's stupid. Let's keep reading.
Who gets his ass whooped on the regular by Captain Boomerang and a gorilla, but sure, he can totally react to things in a picosecond, man. I definitely believe you.
Yeah, you never read a comic book ever. Please
Yep.
shut up.
I'm actually recording and editing most of this before the Simone the Digger versus Kyle Rayner episode of Death Battle airs, and I'm just gonna call that Kyle is gonna win because Simone is a character written for a 27-episode anime that's a work of art about the human condition, gender expectations, and expression.
Wait, hold on. Who do they say they think wins?
Simon.
Episode of Death Battle airs, and I'm just gonna call that Kyle is gonna win because Simone is a...
Nope. They say that Kyle is going to win, and guess who ends up winning? Not Kyle! You're wrong! Uh-oh! Uh-oh!
Yeah, it's like, and they're like, oh, well, Simon, it's a work of art. It's like, I think it's animation slop. What now, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh no, like, it's so artsy. It's like, no, it's not. It has cool animation and has some cool messages, but, like,
Yeah.
Gurren Lagann is not that good.
I haven't watched it, so I can't say anything.
Don't bother. It's not worth it.
a character written for a 27-episode anime that's a work of art about the human condition, gender expectations and expression, and the freedoms of people, written by a small, passionate creative team. Meanwhile, Kyle is a comic character from DC's most meathead-ass era that probably has some feat from some obscure fuck comic book written by David McWeird right-winger that actually reveals he can react...
David McWeird right-winger. Talk about bad faith arguments when you're assuming the random like super big feat comes from a one-off comic written by a right-winger. Talk about bad faith arguments by actively misrepresenting that the power scaling ones are gonna be from the right wing. Like, I've actively not brought up the whole trans community thing for as much as I can throughout this video, but you keep having to insert this intent that power scaling is not just about pseudo-intellectualism, but apparently the only people that really care about power scaling are the people from the right. Man, and she's going to be really perplexed when she comes across power scalers that are from the left or trans.
I was gonna say I can kind of see I can see how
server.
I can see how the debate would go now, where it's like I would be like, oh, what about this feat that that this character does, and they would be like, oh, well, you know, that's probably written by some weirdo. It's not important. Then I'd start like slamming them on like why this story is important and showing that I actually understand the narrative and stuff like that. Let's keep watching.
I'm going to need to go outside for a few hours tomorrow just to jog away these bonus brain cells.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
To attacks within 85 gigashits per megafuck or whatever. Or it's going to come down to an argument of such...
Rare Zeta L.
This whole video is an L.
This whole video is an L.
Semantics that people could really just say whatever the fuck they want.
I mean, currently, you're already coming across as incredibly arrogant and narcissistic when you have to, like, literally, include excerpts where it's, like, rare Zeta L and common Zeta W.
I'm still, like, stuck at this point where it's like, alright, So apparently Kyle has this weird obscure feat, right? According to her right now. But like, because Simon is from a work of art, that means he wins? I thought power scaling was stupid. Surely you should have said that, like, oh, well, the actual fight doesn't matter. It's kind of silly to talk about, yada, yada, yada. But if Simon has the better feat, or not Simon, Kyle has the better feat, why would Simon win? Like, you kind of allude that Death Battle would conclude it, but you bring it up in this tone like they're wrong. So why would Simon win? Like, we're like, this is kind of like if you brought up like the whole like, oh, well, I think because this character's written better, that means that they win. And obviously like the inverse that people try to say, where people use power scaling to say a series is better. But it's like, both those are stupid, and so are you. Keep watching.
And the real cause of shit like this is that in this kind of argument, it's really easy to use this kind of biased.
All right, dog, I'm sorry, but if everything is art, I'm sorry, but if everything in art is interpretive, which it is, so they're agreeing that everything has to be interpreted, then all power scalar debates are arguing semi-supported interpretations. If that's true, then you have no ground to stand on. Because then whichever one is the most semi-supported wins. And also, what's a fully supported interpretation?
Yeah.
Let's keep watching.
Unfounded logical claim, because stories are kind of baseless claims to begin with because they're fictional.
Stories are baseless claims because they're fictional.
That's not true. Alright, that's gonna be a, where is it? Doesn't understand objectivity. Putting that in there. Second row.
Like,
far
what?
right.
I don't know what the purpose of this argument's supposed to be, because they clearly don't even know how it doesn't like support their position whatsoever. If they have to be like, oh, but stories are just fictional nonsense. They don't mean anything.
Let's keep watching. The fact that they're saying that means that if you did press her on like, all right, but where's your evidence that like the curtains are blue because of depression? She'd be like, oh, I don't have any. It's fictional, and it'd be like Hitchens' razor, and then she would cope about how it doesn't need evidence. I'm saying it does.
Mm-hmm.
Or
oh yeah, it doesn't need evidence because I think it's narratively consistent, Hashi. In my little meat prison.
Oh man, I can make it. You already know what argument I'd make when people start pulling that. Oh, you already know where that's going.
Yeah.
I can't say it on stream. Apparently it gets you demonetized, but
yeah.
Let's keep watching.
So you might be wondering, wait, if powers and abilities of characters are so loosely and poorly defined because they're narrative symbols and not actual events, then how should
the fact that you have to like again broadly categorize every single power and ability as like, no, they're not literal, they're just some narrative tool or whatever, or what did they exactly say?
Of characters are so loosely and poorly defined because they're narrative symbols and not actual events.
They're only narrative symbols.
All right,
actual events. So when Roshi blows up the moon, that didn't actually happen, chat. Because guess what? That was just a narrative symbol. For what? Who knows?
All right, chat, we're doing another reading from a book. It's page 31. Head of the Hydra. I have a gift. It is not necessarily a great gift, as these things go. My brother Magnus can perform feats I suspect only our father can fully comprehend, let alone better. Shadows are Korax's home, in a way they will never be for me. Lorgar can stir hearts and minds with his words. Sanguinius can, of course, fly, and how I have envied him that, and not merely for the tactical advantage it can give. Yet we experience envy. I have watched Sanguinius soar and wished for a moment that I possessed his wings. I doubt any of my brothers have envied me in the same way, but then, quite apart from the fact that they have only known me for a few years, my gift is also less obvious. I can disappear. Now, chat, what's the narrative purpose of Alfarius being able to disappear? What's the narrative purpose of saying that Magnus can perform feats only the Emperor can better?
Actually, I want to ask chat this. Actually, here I'm gonna bring this over to. I just want to ask chat real quick.
Oh yeah, type in Portugal.
What is the narrative symbol for this? What is this supposed to symbolize, chat?
Wait. So someone in chat said it's because the author feels invisible on the inside. All right. Let's continue reading then. Not in the matter Korax can, or for that matter, Kurz, should he wish to. I can be exceedingly stealthy when I choose to be, and I have access to certain items which can assist. But where I excel is blending in. I cannot escape notice as such, but I can, if I try, escape recognition. No, it is being literal. I know you're memeing, but it's very obviously literal. That was a trap. Some stories just have literal elements. If you think otherwise, you're stupid.
Yeah, like what's the narrative symbol for Madara bringing a meteor on top of the entire Shinobi Alliance? Also, Agara calls him a god in this. Does that make Madara omnipotent, chat? Is he now on the level of Yhwach because he's called a god?
Let's keep watching.
Then how should we argue about them? And the answer is, don't
But
argue
this whole
about
argument,
them.
this whole video is an argument.
Yeah, it's like, oh, don't stop doing power scaling. Stop doing it altogether. Your hobby is, like, you talk about hear me out near the beginning of this video, and you're effectively saying your hobby is stupid and pointless. Stop doing it. I know I know like the purpose of this thing is kind of to be some type of like hilarity sense, but like no, you are effectively just saying that the hobby of power scaling is dumb and stupid and we should stop doing it. Well, I effectively think that you wasted your time making this video because it's not going to really stop anybody from doing anything because your arguments are terrible and this script was garbage.
Actually, to argue which fictional character beats whichever other fictional character requires such a loose level of interpretation and loosely defined metrics that it will eventually drive you insane. Like, trust me, I'm a Weezer fan. I'm deeply familiar with the idea of arguing a dumbass idea that has no real point and is so tied into interpretation that it might as well mean nothing. But like, oh my god, this is extra pointless. In the end, every character can beat any other character with enough stretching of interpretation. It's impossible to have any form of effective discussion in versus battles because all information in the debate is so up to interpretation.
Oh wait, we got another one that I'm gonna count. So we're gonna count. I used to be a power scaler until they basically made that same argument, but they didn't say they were a power scaler. Let's keep watching.
All art is up to interpretation, and there is no factual basis to ground yourself in. You will eventually make a bad faith argument for your fave, because there's no way to have a good faith argument in these circumstances. There is no greater good to be argued for, and there is no real constructive goal. The only thing you want is for your favorite character to win. And
also, again, this is another mischaracterization of all power scalers, because you're assuming that all power scalers are only going to argue for their favorite people, which, granted, there are people out there who are literally called like agenda scalers, who their whole purpose is to scale their character as high as possible so that they can say that they beat the other. And fandoms often do this whenever they're having to go against each other, like, and that is when they start entering bad faith arguments. But that doesn't categorize all of them. Like, some people do that, and you can actually argue that with almost any type of, like, fandom for any type of series that isn't power scaling related. You can say that about sports fans. How they can't, like, enter in a constructive argument because they're always going to argue for their favorite team being better.
This
isn't, like, exclusive to power scaling people.
This argument about art also applies to everything you've been saying, too. Your whole argument, all your arguments are bad faith. All of them are terrible. Continue.
Your fave winning only happens under non-literal circumstances where there are no facts and there are only feelings. So at that point, why?
There are no facts. There are only feelings.
So then that applies to your depression argument. That applies to all of your arguments. Like, you never get this, like, you have, in order to make your arguments, you do have to separate what you've said prior about any story from the arguments you're making, because you've committed the cardinal sin of trying to power scale while saying power scaling is bad. You can't do that. Your arguments are not logically consistent. Let's keep watching.
I even have the discussion. Like, look, it's okay if you want Gojo to beat Goku because you have a crush on him. Shit, I'm a lesbian and I have a crush on the dude. But you need to be intellectually honest with yourself and realize this argument only means so much to you because you want to dick ride your man. And that's okay. You don't have to have dumbass arguments about it. Part 3. The negative impact.
Wait, pause
So this is
again.
when
I saw something. In order to present that Gojo versus Goku argument the way you did, you must know that Goku wins. Which means you have an argument in your head for why you think Goku wins.
Which means you still kind of like, in some way, you still engage in like the power scaling discussion. You just don't like arguing against other people. But in order for you to feel better about yourself and your inability to engage in those conversations, you decide to make an entire video belittling power scalers and the whole idea of it, just so you can like uplift yourself.
Yep.
Which is evident considering you literally just made a whole little comedic bit about you taking rare L's and common W's. You clearly have a high view of yourself, and you aren't able to detach yourself from your own video and your arguments.
They start getting more petty. She says, like, the whole video hasn't been petty as fuck. My favorite video on this channel is my video Maki Zenin, Feminism, Disability, and Intersectionality. The amount of research and effort I put into that video, connecting Jujutsu Kaisen's visual symbols and narrative mechanics and discussions to real-life Japanese politics and culture, was a really meaningful exercise to me.
What happens if the author, decided to come, what if Gege went to your house and said, yeah, by the way, your video was garbage and had nothing, and I had not intended whatsoever for your, interpretation to be what is true within Maki's, narrative. What would you say when that happens? Would you then agree and take down the video?
I think it's also
telling
telling
about what the author thinks and intends.
I think it's also telling that she has all these bad opinions, and then she also likes JJK.
Yeah,
that's very telling. Let's keep watching.
And seeing so many women connect with the ideas presented and share their own insights and discussions was deeply moving.
There are no women on the internet.
Being able to read stories of real disabled Japanese women and real queer Japanese women and make a reading of a work that embodied my love for it was so fulfilling in a way that I can't quite describe. So it's a real shame how YouTube chose to promote it. Because did the video land in the recommended feeds of thoughtful leftist media critiques, perhaps recommending it under other thoughtful book critiques? Nope. It was exclusively recommended under fucking power scaling videos. The comments quickly became a 50-50 mix between thoughtful comments made by women sharing their personal connections to the work.
My video, about Luffy not having Toon Force didn't go to the people who I thought would appreciate the video. It only seemingly got recommended to One Piece fans who only cared about Luffy being strong. But you don't see me complaining about it. It still got me views. I don't care who views the video, because ultimately, who views my video doesn't impact what the video was about. And whether or not I was actually wrong with the video, because no one actually provided a meaningful critique to it.
Wait, how do I check who it got recommended to? Here we go. Here we go. All right. So for my so since published, yep. So the content that recommended my Emperor video was one video was about a woman who moved to Africa and instantly regretted it. The second top recommendation is a D&D video. A third one is about literally about sex. The next video is about how Steam it's like a Steam basically praising Gabe Newell. Yeah, I mean, do I care that all these weird videos are recommending my Emperor video? No, it's hilarious.
How do you check that, by the way?
You go to your video, you click on it, you click reach, you go down, and it says content suggesting this video.
Here, we're gonna do an experiment, chat. I'm gonna go. Let's look at my most recently popular video. You say you go to your own video?
And so you click on the video so it's up on its own, then you click video.
Do you click on the actual video, or you go into YouTube Studio?
YouTube Studio.
Okay.
You have to pull it up so it's on the overview, and then you go over to reach. And you scroll down.
Okay. We're gonna let's see what's gonna pull up for content, and I'm going to go for details.
Yeah. Oh, she's just jealous he's not in those videos. Yeah, I want to be in a fucking video about a woman going to Africa.
Actually, wait, hold on. I think I... You say go to...
So you click on the video, click on like so you pull it up, you click on like the rating by views thing, and so it shows you like the individual video layout screen, right, where it tells you.
Oh, okay.
And then you go to reach, and you scroll down, and I'll tell you.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Reach. Let's see. Does it have... It'll tell me? Okay, so the content suggesting this video, the Paw Patrol versus Sukuna isn't even close. What if Goku fell into the world of Invincible Part 8? Naruto versus Luffy, The Honest Truth. The Dark Suit Trope Part 1. And 13 incredible details in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero.
Yeah, but we're supposed to be mad about videos that recommend us, right?
Yeah. Actually, let's go to my
Let's just keep watching the video.
I want to see one more. Power scaling made easy. Where did that get recommended under? Let's see. It should be funny. Oh no, it just recommends my other videos. That one's not nearly as funny.
Some video. Yeah, let's keep watching.
All right.
Work and their interpretations, and dudes with the reading comprehension of 6th graders calling me slurs and then sharing their own misreading of the work. When I made the Maki video,
your whole video has been you misreading the work.
How can it be a misreading though? I thought it was all about feelings and stuff.
You have to
respect their readings as equal.
That is also true because of you saying that stories are, because they're inherently fictional, that they inherently have contradictions in them. So no one is actually misreading anything by your own standard. But either way, your whole video has been you misreading the story and not actually take into account the setting that it is in. So,
keep watching.
Again, hypocrite.
Video. It was shoved into the recommendation feeds of dudes who look at fights like Maki and Mai and say shit like, well, the fact Maki can catch a bullet here directly contradicts her later claims that she can keep up with a Mach 3 opponent, and instead of focusing on what actually matters.
It does. That's actually
what actually matters? What actually matters?
Oh.
My God.
Story of two women, what stands in the way of their liberation, and their love for each other. It was an exhausting and frankly awful thing to deal with.
I ship Yuta and Maki, you know.
Yeah.
that was my OTP, but you know.
Wait,
whatever.
I want to hear what
love for each other. It was an exhausting and frankly awful thing to deal with, but in hindsight, it feels like an eventuality. Shonen series naturally attract this kind of content due to their focus on combat and complex fantasy power systems. Often power scalers are the first to cover manga-only content, since it often presents more chances for stronger characters to talk about. I was also covering manga-only content, so it makes sense that they'd be associated in YouTube's fucked up weird algorithm. Versus Battle content also floods this website because it's incredibly easy and profitable content to make. You spend 20 to 30 minutes describing...
Yeah, why don't you make it?
Like, I definitely do get, like, I don't want to make slop, but, like, I guarantee you would try to make a versus battle video and you'd quickly be, like, exposed in the comment section that you didn't actually do any research.
Also,
either that or
you
would just make slop.
It's also easy to make slop about anything. If I wanted to make if I wanted to literally recreate your video and I purposely wanted to make slop, I would just give ChatGPT a few key points that you said in your video and have them recreate your exact arguments in script form and then post that on another channel. And I'd probably just get as many views as you do.
Surfbone, it wouldn't work for you because you're just like a normal dude.
Yeah.
condescending to everybody because no one cares.
Oh, and OBS is saying that it's disconnecting again.
Oh, well, reconnect it. Put it back in motion. This whole video is her crying that no one wants to echo her poorly formed opinions. 100%.
Yeah.
This video is like it's like a woe is me 90% of the time, and like the other 10% is but you guys are stupid, by the way.
You literally didn't have to engage with with morons behind a computer screen, mute words, ban channels, calling you slurs, or just accept them. Also, sorry slop is what makes YouTube as a website free to use in the first place. All 100% true. You don't. Here is the first lesson I would tell this person if I ever met them. You don't have to engage with every single comment you've ever been issued. Oh my god, why does it keep saying that, like, OBS is disconnecting? Oh my gosh.
Conclusions are bad because the resolution says so. Yeah, effectively.
Yeah, like, I swear to god, if I cared about every single comment I've ever been issued, I would go out of my mind.
And 60% of them are me.
Yeah.
Keep watching.
Like, yeah, words.
Typing a character's powers, spend 10 minutes explaining why you personally think they win, and then just print free views without ever having to present a challenging thought or a unique perspective. You don't even have to make the fight fair or logical, or your conclusions logical or fair. Even if the board is so...
Man, people have told me that this video has good editing, but, like, why are they... Do they just have a random, background image of them going through a cemetery? Why?
I think it's like stock footage, but
it is stock footage, but it doesn't have any relevance to the video.
I want to point something out. She's presenting this like, oh, they're so unfair. Well, for one, that means you had to power scale both those characters. But for two, there are tons of unfair, really bad matchups that no one cares about, and they don't do that well view-wise. The videos that do well are either like the really funny ones, like how far can the guy from Krugs get in Dragon Ball, or like the ones where it's like you think it's unfair the other way around.
And guess what? Some of those videos end up getting posted on Twitter and made fun of, and then as a result of that, sometimes if those if there's posts end up banging, then that ends up bringing what's the word I'm looking for? Traction to that video, and then they get views. Mm-hmm. Because even though they probably had a really bad take on the matter, it still got views at the end of the day.
Yep.
Like, Goji, I remember he often gets a lot of slack. Granted, I haven't watched any of his content, but there is, be instances where the moment he posts a video that even seems remotely ludicrous in terms of its idea, it then turns into a Twitter post, which then gets flooded with, oh my god, this dude made a video about this, man, power skillers are in the fucking garbage, and then that video ends up getting traction because you're actively having to bring, attention to the fact that the video exists. It's like you're not defeating power scaling by saying, look at this motherfucker, making a dumb video about this one-sided matchup. What if, there's also a reason why there was an instance where one-sided matchups was the type of content to make, and that's why you would see, what was it? I literally got one of my recommendations under my Gojo versus Goku video was why Paw Patrol and Sukuna isn't even close. That whole title was being used as a means to farm views because people are noticing that the trend was that type of video got views. It's fine to talk about one-sided matchups. Just make sure you clarify that it is one.
So stacked in one guy's favor, you could still burn 30 minutes going for the other guy's abilities, so it doesn't fucking matter to you. The algorithm only values...
I think, funny enough, not to just pause this video again, Godtongue mentioned how, I think it was an Ion video, where he talked about Madara versus Akuna for nearly 50 minutes long, and he's like, there is no way that you couldn't summarize Sukuna versus Madara in far less time. And I took that as a challenge, and I wrote a script that just so I can prove it to myself, where I actively summarized Madara versus Sukuna in 5 minutes and less.
Yep. I've been doing that with some of my videos recently too, where I'll see people will make like 12-minute, 15-minute slop where they just repeat the same shit, and I'll summarize the same topic in 7 minutes because it's easy. Let's keep watching.
I'll use engagement. It doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. So when someone puts up a versus video, it is a form of intentional engagement bait. They want people in the comments to get pissed off and argue in giant threads because that's the kind of content YouTube rewards. Death Battle doesn't give a flying fuck who they piss off or even making sure that whoever wins makes sense.
They actually do. There's literally an ecosystem of content literally dedicated to just going not onto any Death Battle video. Also, I don't think you've known this because you never interact with Power Scalers whatsoever. It's really hard to make a critical video about Death Battle because they pretty much take down your videos immediately upon upload if you include almost most footage of their fight within them, especially if you include fights that have their own original soundtracks in them. Because then they'll use that as a copyright infringement, and they would immediately take down your video because you included that portion of their video that has their own original content in it.
Also,
they do actually care about who talks about what.
I thought Death Battle was well respected. Turns out they're not. Keep watching.
Because if you're mad and willing to post about them or argue with someone about them, then you're directly lining their pockets. It's no surprise then.
I don't think these people are intending to make these videos because they want Death Battle to stop. They're simply making videos to actively talk about why they disagree. I don't think any debunk video has ever been tried to be like, stop giving Death Battle money or stop doing supporting Death Battle. This is why, and then just talk about why you disagree with their videos. None of the debunks want that, obviously. And they never preach that. So I don't know why you're acting like the whole purpose of those debunk videos is to get them to stop making content. Man, she is really, really, really stupid.
How the largest voices in the power scaling community tend to be men who are vaguely centrist to right-leaning, who have no reason to give a shit about how toxic...
political beliefs matter.
I'm just immediate... Most of power scalers are men who are left or right-leaning. That is
centrist
really...
why?
Centrist.
Why do their political beliefs matter, though? It's such a non-statement. I think you're really hoping.
You're actively having to bring politics and the whole pronouns thing into the equation so that it does matter, instead of us having to worry about what you're currently arguing in your video. You're making this a part of your video, and you're making this a part of your identity that we have to care. It's...
I kind of made this prediction earlier in the video too. Let's keep watching.
Or cruel or weird their fan base gets, because it doesn't matter to them. But it does matter to people like me. I want to have these discussions, but I ended up getting called every slur under the sun because the algorithm determined that we're best buds when I want nothing to fucking do with them. It's sad.
This, again, seems to go along with the trend that people end up being power scalers, but because they end up having a bad experience with certain power scalers, they end up becoming the demons of anti-power scaling and saying that power scaling is bad because I've had a bad experience. But that doesn't give you the right to then say that power scaling is a conversation that should just stop altogether and no one should participate in it just because a bunch of random retards on the internet decided to call you slurs.
Keep watching.
I want to live in a world where we can have discussions about Goku's narrative character arc around his passive suicidal ideation and how it culminates in him choosing to live, both literally and metaphorically, or how Bleach's Arrancar arc is an insightful commentary on toxic masculinity that intentionally uses the first half of the series as a narrative parallel. I want to live in a world where Precure, Bleach, and Uncanny X-Men are treated with the same weight and consequence as real literature.
Pause again. I thought comics were all slop, where the authors didn't care about what happened before, and all of it is just them trying to one up each other. You can't talk about comics. You already said they're slop, and you also can't talk about Bleach because Bleach is shonen. It's too focused on the battles. You've already poisoned your own well, and now you're having to drink from it.
I want to talk to other adults in an adult way about these things. I want them to be discussed critically.
No, you don't.
And thought of.
No, you don't, because you've made it your point to completely isolate every single power scaler and bash them under the sun in this video instead of actively making this a constructive criticism.
And you know what's funny, too?
You made it a personal battle, like, for this entire video.
You know what's funny, too, is that you can sit here and you can say, like, oh, I want to make all these, like structured critiques and they're not going to do well. And it's like, well, tough tomatoes.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but, like, the effort you put into a video is not going to be what you get out. And furthermore, I think Surfbone touched on it, but, like, you most certainly do not want to talk to people like adults. You want to talk down to people.
Yeah.
You want to tell people, oh, that's so silly that you think that. No, that's not how. No. You don't actually want to talk about anything.
You know, my favorite video that I've made is about how Sam and Dean Winchester would do if they were forced into a scenario where they would have to catch Light Yagami from Death Battle. Or not Death Battle, from Death Note. That was my favorite video. And guess what? Unfortunately, it just didn't do well. Despite how much editing and research went into it, it's still one of my favorite videos. And I don't care in the fact it didn't do well, because I'm still proud of the video. Like, even though some people, like, there were, like, certain comments that just didn't like some of the information presented. Like, boo-hoo, the world is unfair. Congratulations. You have now, like, come to the conclusion that most adults in their like early 20s have just figured out. Whoop-de-fucking-do.
As stories with themes and messages and symbols and unique meanings first and foremost. I want to make that kind of content. I'll be honest and say I'm really put off of doing it because of how horrifyingly close it puts me towards the slop treadmill. I want to live in a world where lazy rage bait slop is ignored and stories are critically engaged with.
You know what they call this effect, Hashi?
What?
They call this the Streisand effect, where actively, where you're telling the viewer that you don't want this to happen, and all that does is encourage those people to act this way towards you, when you actively have to talk about how I don't like it when power scalers call me slurs. I don't like it when power scalers mainly come to my videos to criticize it. All that, and then you make an entire video based on that. All that's going to do is encourage more people to talk to you in that way, especially if there are other immature power scalers that don't like this video. They're going to come to your video and avidly criticize you in unfair manners because you are having to alienate them by calling them pseudo-intellectuals and stupid, and all it's going to do is encourage them to act unfair towards you. Like, you're only calling, like, more attention to yourself by doing that. Instead of continuously making the content you want to make, you end up producing this incredibly sloppy, like, excuse of a video so that you can rage about how power scalers call you slurs in your Maki video.
Because I believe stories made for younger audiences, pulpy comic books, girly battle series, action films, and everything else that gets ignored as mindless entertainment.
Wait, no, pause again. Go back a few seconds. There was a comic book there. You aren't allowed to talk about those. Remember? They're all slop. Let's keep watching.
Action films, and everything else that gets ignored as mindless entertainment gets to be respected and engaged.
But you said it was mindless
entertainment.
entertainment.
Engage with literature. Yeah. I want there to be a pathway for a kid who's interested in Jujutsu Kaisen to learn more about Japanese politics and culture that inform the show.
No, JJK shit. It's
I
terrible.
want to live in a world of smart critique and respect. If you're a power scaler who made it this far
real fast.
Video.
All right, JJK. Well, you can probably draw some like Japanese political messages from it. The bigger narrative I would draw from it is that Shonen Jump treats its authors like shit. And that's like I think that's like the deeper meaning you can draw. But furthermore, I think Shin Godzilla does an infinitely better job of criticizing Japanese politics than JJK ever does. Let's keep watching.
First off, wow, thank you, genuinely. Secondly, all I want is for the stories you love and for you to be treated with more respect. Because you and that show are smarter than people give you credit for.
This whole video was
And I
condescending.
think it's bullshit that you aren't
This
treated
entire
that
video
way
has been
by the
condescending.
intention-thieving algorithms that are designed to take advantage of your desire for discussions around the story you love. I think it's unfair that you're having that discussion taken away from you. And I really want you to have better. So let's try.
This video is more catered to people who act like you and see the world through your eyes, where it's just like, it's unfair. Why did YouTube push my video like in the power scaling side of YouTube? Where? I need to make a video to cope. Where?
Try and do better.
This video is terrible.
Also, I forgot to write a conclusion to the video. So, how about you comment your favorite unique interpretation of a story that only gets farmed for power scaling?
I think making this video probably took weeks off of my lifespan. It probably it took It took like I don't know how many brain cells out of my freaking brain just by trying to sit here and watch and try to analyze your arguments and realize that you have been not only incredibly condescending during the entire video, but also incredibly contradictory to your own arguments. God, this video was terrible, and I'm now going to put us in this screen now, and we're going to look at the comments. This feels like a pointless video just mocking the worst examples of that community. Power scaling is a form of art. It's like fan fiction. There's a point to be made here with power scaling and literacy, but it's not touched on enough to make a concise point beyond it's fiction. It's not supposed to be consistent, which I would argue it's not inherently true and devalues a lot of art in the process.
How does it devalue anything?
Let's see. Let's see if there's you're complaining omnipotence and omniscience. Omnipotence, the ability to do anything, while omniscience, the ability to do everything. Power scaler here, surprisingly in-depth and by far the best critique on power scaling I've seen in video form.
This isn't even the best video we've watched.
No, this is honestly like pretty fucking bad. And it's like every single other anti-power scaling video out there. It's Mr. Power Scaler's bullied me so hard I don't like power scaling anymore. And because of that, I'm going to cope for 30 minutes straight in a video talking about how I don't like it and here's why, and then talk about how at the end it's because I had a bad experience and that's why it's like I want to engage in these conversations, Hashi. I want to talk about power scaling, but they're calling me slurs.
Also, even being generous, we never got a bingo.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Very unfortunate. Actually, funny enough, let's do some research real quick and see if.
No, I don't want to watch it.
I'm not watching it. I'm not watching it. I'm looking at the comments.
No, gotta go to newest first. You're still on you're on top.
You're not. Okay, I wanted to see if there was actually.
Yeah, there was, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
there are some people, yeah. You're not a woman, bro. Jesus Christ, you're legitimately in the running for the most stereotypical leftist.
I agree with that one. I mean, that's not even like a slur. They're kind of spitting on that one.
Yeah, this.
It does remind me. Yeah, I mean, the videos have been very stereotypical leftist. Like,
let's see. I'm seeing most of the videos though.
In comments.
Yeah, like I'm seeing a lot of people like be very supportive in the comments though. Love this so much. Wow, awesome analysis. Like, I'm looking through complete garbage topic. The misogyny is crazy. And then somebody reacted to them and they got support for it. They ratioed them.
You gotta like the original comment. You gotta do it.
No, I'm not doing that.
I'm going to. I mean, it's like, I respect, like, the whole, like, when you're trying to, like, analyze a character deeper, that's cool and all, but it's like, I don't know, like, one of the first things you learn about YouTube is that the high-effort videos never do well.
Yeah. Man, it's clear that they are very, like, much, like, caring more about, what hate they get, rather than... than all the support that they're getting in these comments. Like, oh, it was so disheartening when there were a bunch of power scalers that were calling me slurs in the comments, but I'm actively looking the comments and most of it is supportive.
Yeah, unless they removed all the slurs, which, I mean, in that case, you're kind of setting yourself up there, right?
Yeah. And again, just like how some people said, wait, are these all the comments?
Either you had to prune the comment section, or you're just not getting many comments.
Yeah. Forbidden told me to look at DMs.
Yeah, it's this dumb political comment from the video about One Piece and fucking Israel.
Okay, this is apparently a comment that Zeta hearted. It's weird how people will watch One Piece and not only support Israel's oppression and genocide of Gaza, but claim Luffy would also support it as well. Granted, that is a very small number of people making that claim, but still a number of people who could potentially make negative influence. That being said, Monkey D. Luffy is largely self-interested, but his self-interest never goes as far as selfishness, save for comedic effect. And the moment he finds out a luxury he's been gifted was obtained unethically, i.e. through the mistreatment of the person/people who gifted it to him directly, he will move heaven and earth to make the individual or organization mistreating the subordinates taste his knuckles. To make a long fucking comment short, Luffy has no tolerance policy for sketchy, unfair, dystopian, capitalist bullshit, and is the king of the pirates would turn the world into a socialist paradise. Oh, man. That was a journey.
Yep.
Into a socialist paradise. That is just actually funny. Does everything have to be political? Apparently to this person it does, because they had to make the entire video about how, like, oh, I can't wait to see how many power scalers after this video misgender me. And actively bring attention to the fact that they're a trans person.
It is a Shaizan effect, yeah. Even if you say that people are going to say it anyways, you are kind of like pre-warning people that, like, that's, like, something they could get on you about. You never want to do that. As awful as it is. You never want to, like, give people that like, Achilles heel. You don't want to give up your back, you know? Well, actually, Surfbone doesn't know about that. He doesn't know how to grapple, but...
Did I see
The curtains are blue is an ideological refrain that,
Monk's takes comment?
much like any other form of psych...
No, I didn't even notice. Let's see.
Sort by now.
Oh, here we go.
So... Too long, I already don't care.
Here, I'll read it for you.
This is probably the best... No, he's already talking shit. No, scroll up. Nope, you lost his privilege.
Yeah, no.
Scroll up. There, you lost. This video is actively garbage. Like, if you say this is the best one you've ever seen, Lonk, you're full of shit. Scroll up. Quit putting him on screen. Scroll up. Scroll up. Scroll up, sir. There we go. Fuck him.
Lunk, what kind of comment was that?
Yeah, see, even people in chat are agreeing. That was trash comment, trash video. Wait, shite.
Great video, yeah, no.
No. Scroll up. Quit putting him on screen.
No, no one. This, like, I'm.
No, don't even look at it.
No, what I'm showing you is not being shown on screen.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I moved it to a different thing. Yeah, this video was really bad.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this this stream has gone on for 2 hours and 30 minutes, so we'll probably say if people got some questions that they want to spitball at us in the next say 2 to 5 minutes, then we're probably just gonna end the stream. I'm going to get rid of that.
Yeah. I'm gonna go pee real fast. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Video lobotomized me when I first saw it. Yeah, and it's really bad. 2 glorious hours. Surfbone, since apparently you're a transphobic right winger, what are your politics? I don't like engaging in politics. Ever. Because I just don't like engaging with them. It's not fun to talk about. Ever. There's a reason why I only care about engaging in these conversations, because they are fun to talk about. Having to actively get into politics is not fun whatsoever. When's the next Hashi teaches Surfbone 40k stream? That's all up to Hashi. Also, you probably already said it, but I find it funny she discusses how power scalers don't know how to power scale, yet conflates AP with DC facts. Will you make a comic book character scaling video one day? If I'm paid enough money to care, yes. But I do not have any desire to go through comics, because that's a plethora of issues I would have to go through. And honestly, I would just rather you go to, say, Crisis, and watch his videos and recommend him stuff rather than me, because he'd be more willing to do it as opposed to myself. I'm very left-wing, but that video was terrible. Seen the Firewood Media video? I'm pretty sure I already have. Hold on. Let me look it up real quick. I'm fairly certain I've already seen it before. Why I hate power scaling too. I don't think I've seen this video actually. But this is just another dude in his room. Oh my god. So many people just want to make power scaling hate videos nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And they are all the same. I just can't get over the fact that she tried to make a big deal about understanding the story, then tried to say that Yhwach was this omnipotent god when he lost twice in Bleach.
Debatably 3 times. He lost against Ichibei too.
I'm going to ask a random question. What is your favorite Pokemon and favorite Yu-Gi-Oh monster?
Oh, that's good. Pokemon, Clodsire, the GOAT, the legend. Favorite Yu-Gi-Oh monster, what's it, Infinitrax Megaclops or whatever? I've been playing Infinitrax lately.
I do not have a favorite Yu-Gi-Oh monster. But my favorite Pokemon is Alolan Raichu.
You ain't beating Clodsire.
It's hard to be Clodsire, but for me, Alolan Raichu is the GOAT. Man, why did Lunk have to make that really dumb comment?
Peep DM, look at that gif.
I can assure you the only reason why
DM,
Lunk
peep
wanted
DM,
to
peep
make
DM,
that...
peep DM.
Okay, let's see what you say. Why did... man.
Me.
But no, I can assure you the only reason why Lunk made that comment was because he was afraid that people were to call him transphobic if he said the video was bad. And that it was incredibly misinformed.
This is a very bad video.
Favorite fast food restaurant? For both of us.
Checkers.
I've never had Checkers, but I would have to say In-N-Out. It's just really, really good food, and it's just kind of has like a childhood charm for it. Yeah, depending on if people really want us to watch that Firewood Media video, who knows? Maybe. So something I thought about, Hashi, and you can tell me this is true or not. So I've thought about either having to make an entire video based on just going over the anti-powerscaling like mindset and just kind of talking all of them in this conglomerate and just be like they all make this same point and go over all of them, or just to make a massive like thread about why each one of them is incredibly terrible.
It would be a good video, yeah. I think you could do it as a video. My last question: what's your favorite death battle? None of them. They're all garbage.
Hashi, if you were to purely rate them based off of how entertaining the fight was, which one?
I skip the fights.
Yeah,
I legit don't watch them.
All right, well, I'll answer you, Red Hood. My favorite one is Reverse Flash versus Goku Black. I just think that fight was particularly really, really, really good and really fun to watch.
Give me a sec. I'm sending a message to the Cloud Chamber.
What do you need to send?
Kind of in the Cloud Chamber. Shut up.
Bill Cyber versus Discord was good, yeah. I doubt there's a point to other streams. These videos are all the same, but somehow worse. Might as well just do a video, yeah.
Yeah. After the stream's done, I'm probably going to make another burrito. I'm hungry.
Do you debate IRL fights, or have you ever done IRL scaling? Have you ever engaged
IRL?
in, like... I mean, people talk about MMA and UFC all the time, and I'm actively, like, listening to those conversations. I don't participate in them because I can't really contribute, but Ashi does. I can tell you that much. Noodles does all the time. He actually made a video where he posted a recording of him talking to a UFC fan who was, like, one of the biggest, what's his name? Israel Adesanya dick suckers of all time, and it was just an utter shit show.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I've had the UFC fighters like respond to me before, so
yeah. Anyway, this stream has gone on for long enough. Thank you all for joining, and until next time, take it easy. Say goodbye, Hashi.
hello.